And there are reasons why Islamophobia exists and why Hinduphobia is a construct of political nature.
Okay, all right. Amit Bhavia, stay on with us. I want to bring in Sushil Pandit because I'm sure the first thought in your mind, Sushil Pandit, is that there's nothing new when it comes to Hinduphobia. It has already existed. And the report also says, Sushil Pandit, these online communities are adapting a pre-existing, understudied playbook of Hinduphobic tropes to a new sphere of communication. What it talks about is the impact that the social media is creating.
Yes, Swati, but let me rephrase this entire thing. In my opinion, you need not have gone through so many slur words or tweets or posts or even handles to look at a trend and their repeated posts. You only have to see on ground what has happened. And let me give you two very clear examples. In the last 70 years, look at what has happened to Hindus and other non-Muslims in Pakistan. They have all but disappeared. What do you attribute this to? And this is under an Islamic order. Pakistan is a self-declared Islamic state. And this is what it does to its minorities, especially Hindus. Now look at India, which is a democratic secular order. Show me one Hindu-dominated region where Muslim number has come down. Even one exception among all the states and provinces. And I'll give you an example of a Muslim-dominated province in India from where Hindus have been all but wiped out. A genocide committed. Now this is a ground reality. We Kashmiri Hindus were violently expelled from Kashmir 32 years ago, the only Muslim majority region in this country. Now let me come to the crux of the issue. What you call Hinduphobia is actually Hindu hate. There is nothing that you could fear from Hindus. Phobia is about irrational fear. I don't think we indulge in anything which can evoke fear in the others. Whereas there is a huge tradition, decades of experience, lived experience, centuries of lived experience, where Hindus have been completely eliminated, exterminated from the regions where they lived, which are now completely Islamic societies. And finally, to the crux of what I am saying, whenever you pick up Hindu hate as a phenomenon, you will find apologists coming out with a false moral equivalence in order to balance it out by invoking Islamophobia. There is absolutely no ground for that. This is hypocrisy, and this is an attempt to deny a genocide.
Gokul Chandran, Sushil Pandit says that we don't need these US dossiers, we don't need a certificate from the world, we only need to look at our past and our neighbors where Hindus are being persecuted for their religion. Shouldn't the world today wake up and take note of the existence of Hinduphobia then? Why is it being denied by many in this country as well?
Yeah. Good evening, Swati. I'll get into it. See, any hate speech is against the dignity of a community and it leads to hate crimes. And this Hinduphobia, it do exist, and we can see that in the recent times. So I want to go behind how this Hinduphobia has arisen. See, Islam is a international religion. It is there in many of the regions, many of the countries. And as you correctly pointed out in that report, it says this Hinduphobia, hate tweets and hate comments are coming from Islamic nations. So what's happening when you have a chief minister from BJP dog whistling Muslims, when you have BJP lawmakers speaking against Muslims and the religion and the Muslim people, and when you have BJP leaders, someone like Narasimhan Saraswati speaking, calling for genocide of Muslims and talking ill about Islam, that is the backlash you need to expect from such countries. And unfortunately, and very unfortunately, the backlash is coming on innocent Hindus. It is not only stopping with the Hindutva-wadis, the RSS, BJP and its
Okay, I think Amit Malviya should respond to that, but then Mr. Gokul Chandran,
but it is coming on each and every...
How will you counter what Sushil Pandit said? How will you counter what he said about the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus? What was happening back then?
See, genocide of Kashmiri Hindus happened under whose regime? Whose regime? Again a Hindutva government was there, supported, some Hindutva supported government was there, under their watch the Kashmiri Pandit massacre took place. And what, even after coming to power, I want to ask Sushil Pandit, it is 8 years since Modi came to power. What did Modi do for those Kashmiri Pandits? Could he send back at least one Kashmiri Pandit back to Kashmir? And it is a shame that such people are talking about
Sushil Pandit, counter coming in from Sushil Pandit.
Pandits and their massacres. And
No, Mr. Gokul Chandran's name sounds like that of a Hindu. Before he starts blaming this government or that, I want to know who committed that genocide. Whether it happened under this government or that, who committed that genocide? Will you please point out what were the factors?
The genocide was committed by another Indian.
Did something about it or not?
Okay,
whether
the
government
genocide
is doing something about it today or not is a separate issue. Who committed that genocide?
The genocide committed by Indians on other Indians. It is the Indians versus Indians. There is no foreign hand here. There is no foreign presence here. It is the Kashmiri people who fought amongst themselves, and the Kashmiri Pandits were at the receiving end.
Those Indians. Why are you so hypocritical?
What stops? What stops?
Gokul Chandran, were they driven out of the valley because they were Indians? Or were they driven out of the valley because they were Kashmiri Hindus? Was that not Hindu phobia?
See, that's what I am telling. They were driven out of the valley because they were Kashmiri Hindus, and there is no doubt about that.
Yes, so religion,
I totally stand with that.
Yes, so religion comes. So the religious angle comes in. So the religious angle comes in. You are
Swati,
saying,
I don't understand.
You are saying, No, Gokul Chandran, you have to call a spade a spade. And I want to bring in Amit Malviya
I don't understand.
Because you are raising a very important point. And ever since, according to Gokul Chandran, Amit Malviya, the BJP has come to power, and the stand taken by your chief ministers, your netas have only contributed to the backlash that we are witnessing in form of Hindu phobia today. Respond.
Well, first of all, Swati, the word should not be Hindu phobia. The word should be Hindu misia. It is hatred for Hindus and Hinduism. That is what we should be discussing. And people like Gokul Chandran are part of the problem. To blame one dispensation or the other, which is also factually incorrect. And he obviously did not answer the very important question that Sushil Pandit asked him. Who were the people who went up against the Kashmiri Hindus? What was their ultimate agenda? It was Nizam-e-Mustafa to establish an Islamic state in the valley. And the Kashmiri Hindus had to suffer the brunt of it because of their faith. And that killing continues even till date. So unless we look the problem in the eye, it's not going to disappear. We should also not forget the fact that India's partition happened on religious lines, because the Muslims believe that they do not want to live under a Hindu dispensation, which India is. It's a Hindu majority country. It may not be a Hindu majoritarian country, but it's a Hindu majority country, and that is the reality. Today, Pakistan and Bangladesh were created because Muslims wanted a separate country which would be run by Islamic principles. Now, those who have stayed back and chose India as their motherland, including people like Gokul Chandran, because the communists, the ones that went to Pakistan, either ceased being communists or weren't around there to talk about communism a few years later. But the truth is that they continue to be here and divide the country, drive wedge in communities, and in fact use Muslims as cannon fodder for their political agenda.
You know, whether you say Islamophobia, whether you say Hindu phobia, if it is hurting the social fabric, this needs a more serious approach. Vikraman R.
Swati,
I'll come to you. Other guests haven't even spoken, sir. I want to take reactions from Mr. Vikraman and Karan Verma. First to Mr. Vikraman. Mr. Vikraman, isn't there a need for a more serious approach instead of, drawing parallels when one speaks about Hindu phobia, the other argument is about Islamophobia? Because according to the report, terrorist organizations like the ISIS are expanding their anti-Hindu propaganda and Hindu-phobic attacks. It ultimately impacts not just one community but the entire country.
Have we heard any such reports before when it was Congress government? No. Did ISIS target Hindus just because they are Hindus? No. Now the reports are coming because the country is ruled by Hindu fanatics, the Hindutva fanatics. The BJP, the very same person, Amit Malviya, who is the BJP's IT cell head, he has been spreading rumors like, the coronavirus has been spreaded by the Muslims. In 2020, when the pandemic was happening, it was pinned on Muslims, our dear brothers and sisters, our own brothers and sisters. Our country Muslims have been targeted because they have been the minorities. So that did not go well with the Arab world in the Islamic countries and all. So the government had to apologize, the government had to explain to the OIC countries that the disease does not see race, religion.
Why aren't anti-BJP hashtags being used?
The Prime Minister had to explain.
Amit Malviya surely should respond to your allegations and he should surely provide you an explanation. But why aren't anti-BJP hashtags being used?
Let me finish it. Yes. No, BJP has been responsible for this turmoil in this country. Who are the benefitors of this? Who are the benefitors of this polarization? Obviously them, right? They need this country to be divided on the lines of religion. If the religion divide is not working in Tamil Nadu, they will take caste. If the caste is not working, they will come to subcaste. Their ultimate motive is to divide and rule.
So tell me something. If the BJP is responsible,
not be together.
If the BJP is responsible, how do you explain this particular meme? The swastika with the trishul blood dripping from it. Another meme where the 26/11 attackers are being glorified, and individuals with saffron tilak on their foreheads are shown crying, begging for mercy. How do you explain these memes? If BJP is responsible, and yes, surely BJP should answer. If BJP is responsible, what explains these memes? And is this anti-Hindu or anti-BJP? The memes I'm talking about.
Actually, the swastika does not represent any Hindus. In Tamil Nadu, we don't use swastika. Swastika represents or symbolizes Aryan race. In India, Brahmins and other upper caste Hindus, they associate themselves with
What about the trishul? What about the trishul?
Swastika.
What about the trishul?
We do not use swastika.
What about blood dripping from the trishul?
These are the reactions from the. These are the reactions. Yes, I'm telling you. I'm coming to that point. These are the reactions from the radical elements.
Radical elements reacting
across the globe.
Radical elements reacting to the 26/11 attack and glorifying the attackers.
Are reacting to the.
And glorifying the attackers of 26/11
to attack India. So the BJP is compromising on the national security.
Do you view the 26/11 attacks? Do you view the 26/11 attacks as a terror attack on this country, or do you view this as an attack on the Hindus?
That is a terror attack on this country.
Absolutely.
There is no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the current
Absolutely.
situation.
It's a terror attack. It's a terror attack, but a meme is being used to glorify the 26/11 attackers.
External affairs
But a meme is being used in this entire anti-Hindu campaign, sir, to glorify those 26/11 attackers, and the victims are shown to be Hindus with saffron tilaks and saffron attires, crying, mocking the Hindus.
No.
It was a terror attack. Why is this meme being used?
I have seen that meme. Madam, I have seen that meme. That meme clearly says Hindutva and not Hindus.
Was that an attack? Was that an attack? Was that a terror attack?
And I am not scared to be in this country.
Was that a terror attack, sir?
It is an attack on Hindutva. 26/11
was that an attack on Hindutva?
Was a terror attack. But
Was
you are
that an attack
talking
on
about the
Hindutva
meme.
or on the people of this country?
26/11 was an attack on the people of this country.
then there can be no
I am talking
justification
about
to the
current
meme.
situation which you are discussing.
Then there can be
You
no
are-
justification
you are
to the meme.
comparing
In
apples
fact,
to oranges.
one should be condemning the fact that an incident like that,
See, I'm talking-
a terror
I'm
attack, an
talking-
incident of a terror attack is being used to vitiate the atmosphere and further the divide. Karan Verma.
Look,
Can I answer for that?
Hindu phobia or Hindu hatred, whatever you like to call it. No, can I speak now? I've been patiently waiting for my turn, so let me please answer. Hindu phobia has been real from a long time, Swati. And do you know what is responsible for it? Radicalization and the vote bank politics. Who coined the word Hindu terror? It was the Home Minister of this country, Sushil Kumar Shinde, who attached religion with terror. It was RVS Money who exposed him. In the book, the inside account of the Home Ministry. And 26/11, you just mentioned about 26/11. Rakesh Maria today tells us that the entire ploy was to show that Ajmal Kasab is a Hindu. When lakhs of Kashmiri Pandits are driven from their home and Roots in Kashmir files a petition and the Supreme Court, with all due respect, says that nothing fruitful will come out of it because 32 years have passed, then you know there is an institutional effort to debase and dehumanize Hindus. This is what has resulted in Hindu phobia today. Hindus as a community have been the most tolerant community. They are the ethos of this country when they say Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one. Sages call it by different names. But alas, the politics of appeasement. Today Hindus are ready to reclaim their civilization, which is why we see a greater backlash on social media. Hindus today for the first time have raised their head and said enough. They've started questioning why do we have the Places of Worship Act, which doesn't let us even correct the historical injustices. They've started asking why justice has not been served to our Kashmiri Pandits. So today there is a greater backlash, but we must understand that the night is darkest before dawn, and I believe that Hindus are awakening up. They might face backlash, but this is the start of an era where we'll have true secularism, where there is respect for all.
Okay, I want to bring in Amit Malviya now. Amit Malviya, since this issue has been raised by Atikur Rahman and Mr. Vikraman as well, Mr. Vikraman says, why were there no such reports when the Congress was in power? And I want to ask a follow-up question. But we've had, US State Department in its annual report alleged that in India in 2021, attack on members of the minority communities have occurred throughout the year. And of course, it is in your regime, and the NYU Stern Center for Business and Human Rights highlighting the targeting of Muslims by backers of the ruling BJP. So how do you respond to that, those findings?
Look, Swati, before the BJP came into power, they had a government at the center and a few other states which was complicit in this Islamism that we are seeing now by way of backlash, as they call it. If you have a dispensation that is in sync with what you're doing, why would you ever have a problem? It is only after the BJP came to power on the back of a popular mandate, and two of them, that they started having problems, and their plans and their designs on India did not seem to succeed. And therefore there is an attempt to try and malign the country. The reports that you're quoting of whether New York Times or any other publication, we know what their position on India is. They are viscerally anti-India, and in fact they would like to have a dispensation that's a weak one so that they can have their writ run large in this country. The BJP is the hurdle. As far as Vikraman is concerned, I can make out from his arguments that he believes in a Dravidian ideology. He's the only one on this program who accused the BJP of being casteist, and in the same breath, he said that the Aryan invasion theory is racist and it's Brahminical and it's upper caste. When the fact is that the Aryan invasion theory has been debunked, that it was false, it was created by communist historians to peddle an agenda. Yet, people like Vikraman, who I can bet is a Dravidian by ideology and his politics, although he may masquerade as a political analyst, he has brought in the caste element. The truth is that people will have a problem with this dispensation because this dispensation is about putting India first. We will not compromise We will not take certificates from international agencies and publications on how we run the affairs of our country.
Okay.
We know how America runs. We know the racial problems there. We know the problems in China. We know problems in other countries who pontificate routinely.
Atikur Rahman.
Swati, I want to make one larger point here. Is it only against the Hindus? Why were the Yezdis targeted, for example? Because they were non-Abrahamical in their approach. So the issue is not just Hindus. Hindus happen to be a dominant, all-prevalent, powerful, non-Abrahamic social denomination. And therefore we are an easy target. But look at Yezdis. They have been targeted. They have been exterminated. Their women raped, taken as sex slaves, people beheaded. So there is a larger problem here. And unless we address the issue on hand and the problem that lies at the core of the ideological belief that drives this violence and mindless bloodshed, we are going to be beating around the bush.
Okay, quick counters. First Atikur Rahman, then Mr. Sushil Pandit, and then Mr. Chandran.
Swati, I think what I gather from the entire argument on this debate is, firstly, recognizing Pakistan to be an Islamic state is at the root of this problem. Once you recognize Pakistan as an Islamic state, not a bigoted theocracy, the problem are half solved. I do not recognize the RSS and the Hindutva to be Hindu people, to be, gathered by the Hindu ideology. Hindu ideology is a peace-loving ideology, not the Hindutva ideology of the RSS and the BJP. Why do you recognize Pakistan to be an Islamic state? It's a bigoted theocracy, as the BJP wants to have in India, a bigoted Hindutva, Hindu Rashtra.
Sushil Pandit.
I'm amused by Mr. Atikur Rahman's sophistry. If Pakistan is a bigoted theocracy, what theocracy are they bigoted with? Which theology are they bigoted with? Why won't you name that theology, please? Let me know which book, which faith does
It's
that
not
theocracy
Islamic,
flow
sir.
from?
It's not
Be that as it
Islamic.
may.
It's not
just
Quranic,
a moment,
sir.
Let me finish, Mr. Rahman. Let me finish. Let me finish, Mr. Rahman. Let me finish. Have some patience. I heard you very patiently. Let me give you a reason why there is Hindu hate. Hindu faith, Hindu tradition, in the entire supermarket of faiths that exist in India, is perhaps the only one that affords great deal of freedom, great deal of improvisation, great deal of liberty, great deal of tolerance to its adherents. And all those faiths who want straight-jacketed followers, threatened with punishment, severe reprisals from their divine, in terms of wrongdoing as perceived in that theology, are threatened today because the followers want to break free. They see what kind of freedoms we enjoy, our liberalism gives us, what kind of whatever we enjoy in our religion, whatever prerogatives
Sushil Pandit,
look at divine,
one does not clearly know the motives of these trolls and these posts that have been put online, apart from the fact that it is to spread Hindu hatred, anti-Hindu campaign on social media. But it is dangerous because now terror organizations like the ISIS are using Hindu-phobic propaganda to in fact commit more crimes, to in fact further their agenda of spreading terrorism. And that's why everybody should be concerned, because ultimately it's not just going to impact one community but the entire country and hurt the social fabric. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Amit Malviya will continue to be with us. Thank you very much for getting us your perspectives and views on this big story. Moving on now to debate number 2, as chaos and anarchy rules the streets of Lanka. Back home, the opposition is taking pot shots at the Indian government, drawing a direct link to Lanka. NC patron Farooq Abdullah has said Prime Minister Modi must ensure India doesn't meet a similar fate. This, remember, is the latest in a web of fear-mongering from the opposition, comparing India's economy to that of Sri Lanka. They have predicted doom and gloom for the economy and a dramatic downfall of the NDA Sarkar. The BJP, however, is quick to remind the opposition that it was dynasty politics which led to the downfall of the Rajapaksas. First, let's listen to what the opposition said.
कुछ भी हो सकता है, अल्लाह रहम करे। हम तो दुआ करते हैं कि अल्लाह ताला हमें उस मुश्किल से निजात दे जो श्रीलंका में हुई है। अल्लाह करे कि हमारी हुकूमत के लोग जो हैं वो इस सिचुएशन को समझते हुए ऐसे इक़दामात उठाएं कि हम उस तरफ न जाएं।
इंडिया में तो मोदी जी का हालत भी ऐसा ही है, सब कुछ दिन के डे बाय डे ये तेल का दाम, दूसरा चीज का दाम बढ़ रहा, इज डूइंग नथिंग। वो जो वहाँ का जो राष्ट्रपति का जो हाल हुआ अभी श्रीलंका में, वो हाल तो मेरा ख्याल से यहाँ मोदी जी का हो जाएगा, मोदी जी का प्रधानमंत्री का वही हाल होगा।
Some point of time, situations were like India, Silna versus Christian, Muslim, and this led to unemployment and inflation, and also Sri Lanka landed up in big debt, and that finally led to a chaos situation. So it's a warning for us.
Well, the BJP has now cautioned Dynasts in India, saying that Modi has made Mazboot Bharat and the Dynasts have been rejected by the people. Listen in.
अक्सर देखा जाता है कि फारूक अब्दुल्ला समय समय पर भारत को बदनाम करने के लिए कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ते। उनके जो भी आजकल बयानात होते हैं वो देश विरोधी होते हैं। भारत मजबूत हाथों में है, मोदी जी का नेतृत्व पूरे विश्व स्तर पर ये साबित कर चुका है कि भारत एक बढ़ती हुई ताकत है, और भारत की जीडीपी भी जिस प्रकार से बढ़ रही है उसको देखकर ये साफ जाहिर होता है कि विश्व में अपना पहला जो स्थान भारत बनाएगा। और इस प्रकार की बयानबाजी करना, एंटी नेशनल और लंका के साथ बनाना, क्योंकि इन लोगों ने परिवारवाद चलाया है, उस परिवारवाद के कारण जब उसको नकारा लोगों ने तो इनको फ्रस्ट्रेशन होना स्वाभाविक बात है। आज वही फ्रस्ट्रेशन जो है फारूक अब्दुल्ला की बोल रहे हैं।
It's shocking that, and in a sense sad, that someone as senior as Mr. Farooq Abdullah, somewhere or the other in his desperation for hoping that Prime Minister Modi's government, which is duly elected by the people of India, will go, is latching on to absolutely ridiculous examples with due respect to him. Fundamentals of the economy are at a different level under Prime Minister Modi's government's economic initiatives. But Mr. Farooq Abdullah, for political reasons, is willing to see his country collapse, maybe just to satisfy his own political ambitions.
While both sides of the ideological divide accuse each other of Parivarvad, we get the numbers to speak. Let's compare the situation. Now, 40 years out of 74 years, the Gandhis were Congress presidents. 36 years out of 52 years, Gandhis were prime ministers in Congress governments. As far as the Sangh calling shots in BJP is concerned, both prime ministers in 15 years were drawn from the RSS. 10 BJP presidents in 42 years were also drawn from the RSS cadre. But is the opposition right in saying that India is headed the Lanka way? The economic crisis has sparked off this political crisis. So let's first talk about the situation in terms of the economies and the contrast as far as the economy of India and Sri Lanka is concerned. As far as GDP is concerned, India's GDP 2.62 lakh crores US dollars and Sri Lanka's GDP is 8,070.66 crores US dollars. GDP per capita 1,927.7 in India, which is a country of 1.3 billion. In Sri Lanka, it's 3,680.7 US dollars, a country of 22 million. As far as forex reserves are concerned, as far as India is concerned, $617.648 billion. Sri Lanka, it's 2.3 billion US dollars. In GDP growth as well, India's GDP growth is 7.5%, Sri Lanka's GDP growth is 2.4%. So how is the situation? Similar is the big question. How will India have the same fate as many in the opposition are saying? Let's open this up. Amit Malviya continues to be with us. He's the national spokesperson of the BJP. We have Tushar Gupta, senior editor of Swaraj, Sanjay Jha, author, Professor Manojit Mandal, spokesperson of the TMC, Dr. Sumansi Raman, political analyst. I want to begin with you, Professor Manojit Mandal. What are the similarities really? Why is the TMC saying Modi ji ka bhi wahi fate hoga jo Sri Lanka mein Rajapakshas ka fate hua hai? Also, the allegation is that the opposition is only indulging in fear mongering. This is purely for political gains. How do you respond?
There's a distinction between fear mongering and cautioning the government. The opposition has every right to caution the government when things are in complete disarray in our neighbor. And what are the indicators? The indicators are the inflation, petrol prices, gas prices, everything. I mean, think about the banks. I mean, look at the FD rates in the last 5-6 years. From 10% to now it is 5.5%. Look at the share market now; it's down towards completely, in minus 0.5 or 0.6 or somewhere around. So look at these are the markers, these are the trends that the country's economy. And look at the price of the dollar vis-a-vis the rupee. It's nearly 80 rupees now. So these are the markers. I mean, the people can understand. I mean, we might very well, cost the entire foreign reserve to pay our debt if the country goes like that. And we have got every right to caution the government, to warn the government that get your facts right, get your house in order, talk to the opposition, look for alternative sources of fund generation instead of spending money on things which are not really required. I mean, think about the country's economy, talk to the big economists. There are 3 Nobel laureates in this country who've got Nobel Prize in economics. One is now staying in Calcutta, in Shantiniketan, by the name of Amartya Sen. The government must converse with these people who knows the thing, who
have the economists actually predicted doomsday for India after what has happened in Sri Lanka? Is this coming from some statement that you came across of one of these economists?
I mean, don't have to be an economist to make such statement. You look around, you can understand.
You have to be an economist. I'm saying, is this based on something that you heard?
Yes, economists are also saying you don't want to go by them.
Okay.
You don't want to go by a Nobel laureate.
Okay.
You don't want to go by
Amit Malviya, economists are also saying the same thing. According to Professor Manojit Mandal, he is saying we are cautioning the government. This is not fear mongering.
Well, Swati, first of all, let's just stick to facts and not rhetoric. What's happening in Sri Lanka is nowhere close to where India is. India today is the largest emerging economy and the fastest growing economy in the world in the post-pandemic era. Our forex reserves are comfortably placed. Our debt level is almost at 21% of the overall GDP, and immediate debt repayment is as low as 3%. Right? We have foreign investment coming in a big way. Our economy is doing well. There is employment generation that is happening. There is private investment that is on the high. And all of these things are happening sequentially. Now, the people who are predicting a doomsday are the same people who have been predicting doomsday from 17th May 2014 when Prime Minister Modi took office. And they've been hoping that something will bring down this government. If at all what is happening in Sri Lanka should worry somebody, it's some of our state governments, and namely West Bengal and Punjab amongst others. West Bengal is at the brink of a debt trap of its own making, and if they believe in Nobel laureate so much, the one who's right now in Shantiniketan, Mamata Banerjee should rush to him and consult and see how she can save her state's economy from collapsing. Punjab, another state which is riddled with debt burden, and has more freebies coming in. By the way, the Aam Aadmi Party is going around, is again looking at a disastrous collapse in the days ahead if things do not improve. So let's not, in our excitement to run down the Modi administration, run down our country, because India's macroeconomic fundamentals are absolutely strong.
Okay.
It has been endorsed by people who are investing in this country. And Swati, remember, economists have the leisure to make a political comment or an assessment, but investors who put in their money, their hard-earned money,
you're also saying that bad economic policies are the reason.
Can I
And
rebut
not
for-
dynasty,
can I get
Amit
30
Malviya?
seconds?
Sorry?
So bad economic policies are the real reason, right? Not dynasty.
Well, look, let's be very clear about it. In Sri Lanka, the problem is dynastic succession and the fact that the Rajapaksa family held every important position in the government.
Okay.
Also the fact that they ran a very decrepit financial regime. They were in a debt trap, pushed through the Chinese agencies.
Okay.
They had some great
Can
ideas
I
about
get 10
moving
seconds
to
to rebut him?
No,
Just a
other
minute.
speakers have not.
Just
Other
let me
speakers have not spoken,
and-
sir.
and
Let me take
moving
quick
away
reactions
the
from
core
everybody, and then I'll
industry
come to you
of
for round two of the
agriculture
face-off.
and
Sanjay Jha, so clubbed with bad economic policies, dynasty politics is the biggest reason, and that's why alarm bells should be ringing for dynasts in India. They should be taking a lesson. How do you respond?
Well, Swati, let me try and see if I can, extrapolate on both the issues at the same time. First and foremost, understand the context. You're talking about a country where the number of people living below the poverty line at around 300 million is 15 to 20 times the population of Sri Lanka. So you face a gigantic and a unique problem. Now, I agree with Amit on the point that yes, we have foreign exchange reserves, and India is no longer as susceptible as it used to be maybe in the early part of the 1990s, after which the liberalization program shifted the dynamics of international economic management. But the truth is, when you look at unemployment in India, rising inflation, and the fact that even today, you talk about a GDP of 7.5%, but this is on such a lower, base of growth. So ultimately, like it or not, the country today cannot live under the delusion or the arrogance that Amit demonstrated, where he seemed to be like, anybody who criticizes the government or gives them even a constructive feedback is deemed to be some kind of a pariah or an anti-national or with a people conspiracy theory in mind. That to me is utter rubbish. So let me address the dynastic issue.
Okay.
One of the reasons why Mr. Modi goes over the dynasty is not because of any other reason, because the Gandhis had the Congress. Now I have 2 points for you here. There are 2 Gandhis who are in the BJP. One is Maneka Gandhi and one is Varun Gandhi. They are from the first Gandhi family, whom the BJP actually showcases or showboats as their very powerful political personalities. The second, Mr. Modi and the BJP run down the family dynasty, but they have been in alliance with Shrimoni Akali Dal, they have been in alliance with the Shiv Sena, they have been in alliance with Anna DMK. What are we talking about? So this is brazen political hypocrisy.
Okay.
Amit is
Okay.
a
Political
Amit
hypocrisy.
is an articulate speaker, but that doesn't hide the fact that he's extremely disingenuous.
Okay, political hypocrisy. So Tushar Gupta, the BJP slams other parties when it comes to dynasty politics, but won't look within its own parties and allies.
See, Swati, the question is Rahul Gandhi thinks that India would turn into Sri Lanka very soon. That Rahul Gandhi has made a doomsday call for India. And I understand that BJP should not underestimate how does one drive down a country on the Sri Lanka way. Rahul Gandhi would understand that pretty well. Like the Rajapaksas were close to Beijing, the Congress was also very close to Beijing. Like the Rajpaksas indulged in flawed economic policies, Rahul Gandhi was proposing a flawed economic policy in 2019 elections when he said that the bottom 20% of the Indian population, which is around 200 million people, should be given rupees 72,000 annually. Rahul Gandhi wouldn't understand the concept of inflation, because if he had implemented that policy, we would have an inflation problem equivalent to what there is in Sri Lanka today, around 30-40%. Rahul Gandhi would of course understand how Sri Lanka happens, because he goes around offering waivers just like the Sri Lankans were offering freebies after the Rajapaksas came back to power in 2019. So when Rahul Gandhi says that India is on the Sri Lanka way, I agree, India would have been on the Sri Lanka way if at all the electorate would have voted for the Congress in 2014 and 2019. But we are fortunate that we do not have to live under the flawed economic thinking of Rahul
flawed
Gandhi.
economic thinking. So what is it really? Flawed economic thinking, Sumansi Raman, flawed economic policy,
where we are going around
the Chinese debt trap, dynasty politics. What is contributing in India becoming next Sri Lanka, as many are predicting?
I'll tell you where the biggest danger lies and where there are very scary parallels with Sri Lanka. It is not on the economic, on the imminent or immediate economic situation cannot be compared. I agree with Mr. Amit Malviya, though the economy is certainly not doing well as he claims, but we are certainly nowhere near becoming a Sri Lanka. The point is, where are the scary parallels? The scary parallels are that what led Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the Rajapaksa family to wield so much of power over such a long time. It was the policy of majoritarianism and the policy of polarization. That is what resulted in massive mandates, and the mandate by which Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa defeated Sajith Prematasa in the last election was a massive mandate. So he was democratically elected. Nobody ever said that they rigged the elections or anything. And look at what happened. Unbridled power, for instance, leads to decisions like, for instance, we had demonetization. They had the banning of chemical fertilizers overnight. Just by an announcement, they banned it, and we saw the disaster that led to in their agriculture. So the lesson that I draw out of this is two things. One, majoritarianism may get you electoral rewards, but it does not necessarily ensure good governance. And the second and very, very important part is the fact that unbridled power without the system of checks and balances does create problems of
you've added an entire new angle, to the debate.
It's not that Sri Lanka.
Yes, you're saying the root cause of the bad economic policies or the root cause of the crisis, whether political or economic in Sri Lanka, is because of the policy of majoritarianism, and that is a scary similarity, Amit Malviya, between India and Sri Lanka, according to Dr. Sumansi Raman.
No. I'll counter that, please. No.
Sorry, is that for me or Tushar?
Amit Malviya first.
Okay. Look, I think that's a very convenient political argument which does not have much leg to stand on, because at the end of the day, democracies are run by electoral processes and the will of the people matters. Is it Sumansi Raman's argument that a minorityism peddling political party will be a great financial and economic maven? Of course not.
No.
We've seen the Congress party. No, Mr. Raman, let me make my point. Don't get so excited. The fact is, the Congress ran a regime that appeased the minorities, and they were brazen at it, and yet they continued to loot the exchequer from the other hand. So clearly, sometimes minoritism perhaps is far worse than yielding to the larger will of the people. And majoritarianism simply means the will of the majority, and the will of the majority is, in the first past the post system, is the party that gets elected by most number of people. Now that is the reality that all democracies live in. If you have a problem, you can
I think I just have a minute or so left, so I'll take quick rebuttals. Mr. Mondal, go ahead.
Swati, 1 point.
Yeah, I'll come to you, sir. I'll come to you.
1 point, please.
I'll come to you, sir.
The point about Bengal, I tell my good friend Malviya, who was badly beaten by the people of Bengal electorally, was in charge of that. I know he's unable to digest it. The Bengal is doing far better than some of your states, I tell you.
Okay, Bengal is doing far better than some of the states. Tushar Gupta.
Ease of doing business.
Swati, we keep beating these drums. Swati, we keep beating this drum about why the BJP wins elections.
Right?
No.
Check that.
Mr. Mondal, 1 second. Mr. Mondal, 1 second.
You are not giving us on 98,000 crore. Despite that,
Mr. Mondal,
okay, Mr. Mondal, I have to wrap up. I'm just taking quick rebuttals. Okay, Tushar Gupta, quickly, I have to wrap up.
Representing a political party.
Just 10 seconds. Quickly make your point, Tushar Gupta.
Swati, the Congress.
BJP. You are not giving equal time to rebut.
Let's remember, the BJP has won fair and square after demonetization, after GST, and after the pandemic. So this argument about the BJP causing some sort of economic downturn is absolutely gibberish. It's absolutely rubbish. It should be dismissed.
Okay, very different takes coming in.
People trust the BJP.
Okay, some panelists believe it's policy of majoritarianism and unchecked power. Some believe bad economic policies. Others believe that it was dynasty politics that has led to political and economic crisis in Sri Lanka, and the opposition believes that we're not fear-mongering, we're just cautioning the government to not go down that path. I'm wrapping up the debate, gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
pressing issues. The most informed minds. Free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
Opposition presidential candidate Yashwant Sinha has said that if he is elected, he will ensure that the Citizenship Amendment Act is not implemented. He has also called it a foolishly drafted act. Days after being elected as an interim General Secretary of AIADMK, EPS Stamps Authority appoints 2 new Deputy General Secretaries. EPS has also called for a meeting with party MLAs on July 17th. 2 Indian nationals carrying 45 pistols have been arrested by customs officials at the Indira Gandhi International Airport in New Delhi. The Counter-Terrorism Unit, National Security Guard, is investigating the case.
இந்த நிமிஷம் ஆராசா வந்து கேட்கிறாரு, அவன் தனியாக கேட்பாங்க. அது தனியாக தான் இன்னும் கேட்கிறாரு. ஆராசாவுக்கு உள்ள ஆசை 9ஆம் நாயகன் மட்டும் இல்லாமதான் போயிடும். நான் கேட்பேன், தமிழ்நாட்டை 2ஆ பிரிங்கன்றவன்.
நான் அமித்ஷாவுக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், பிரதமருக்கு சொல்லுகிறேன், மற்ற பணிவன்போடு சொல்லுகிறேன், உங்களை பணிந்து கெஞ்சி கேட்டுக் கொள்கிறேன், இந்த மேடையில் எங்களுடைய தலைவரை வைத்துக் கொண்டு சொல்லுகிறேன், அண்ணாவளியிலே பயணம் செய்வார் முதலமைச்சர், எங்களை பெரியார் வழிக்கு தள்ளிவிடாதீர்கள், தனிநாடு கேட்க எங்களை விட்டு விடாதீர்கள், மாநில சுயாட்சி தாருங்கள், அதுவரை நாங்கள் ஓய மாட்டோம் என்று சொல்லி விடைபெறுகிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There's a massive chaos and anarchy in our neighborhood. Sri Lanka is having its Arab Spring moment. Tonight on the Newshour, I want to show you some of the most defining images of the day. Today, as protesters emerged on the streets of Colombo, a Sri Lankan Jawan left his army vehicle and switched sides with the protesters. There were monks that hit the streets to join the revolt as well. A human chain of forces could not stop protesters who broke through them to march on. The Prime Minister's home is now a fief of the protesters who climbed up and hoisted the country's flag. Protests turned violent, but tear gas shelling even injured some. At least 30 people were injured in this protest today. Students join in, and the anti-government protest demanding better quality of education hit the streets of Colombo. Inside the Prime Minister's residence, protesters were seen having the time of their life. Even the national television was stormed and shut down. The images that I've shown you for the last few seconds do not do justice to the anarchy that is being unleashed on the streets of Colombo. Before I bring your attention to the debate on the Newshour tonight, take a look at the chaos ensuing in Sri Lanka.
The ongoing revolt against the government has intensified in Colombo. Nothing seems to stop the protesters. Barricades, water cannons and tear gas shells. You name it, and it hasn't worked in stopping Lanka's fiercest public revolt so far. Monks have taken to the streets. The Prime Minister's office has been taken over.
Look at the force. The crowd has just managed to push these police persons who had formed this human chain. It was a fight in between hundreds of police persons and those thousands of protesters who have managed to break this human chain. The police officials have somewhat agreed. It appears that the war which was being fought, the tug of war between the police officials and the protesters have gone totally out of control. These are the visuals of the PMO, where the Prime Minister was making all these decisions, which has also been made one of the location for the protesters to come here. Look at the visuals where all these protesters have been sitting here. They have been clapping for the victory which they have made over the period of few hours after the immense fight which happened in between the protesters and the army personnel. What it appears that they would
And now, security forces have also given in to those protests.
One of the police personnel has also joined the protest. People are thumping him. Look at this police person. ये वो पुलिस वाले हैं जो इस वाटर कैनन बस को चला रहे थे.
Let's play that to you once more. If you watch closely, the water cannon operator is confronted by the protesters, and without any hesitation, the security personnel gives in and is seen joining the protest.
You saw what's happening in Sri Lanka. Would you think India is going to meet a similar fate sometime soon? Well, some in our country do believe that. Drawing a direct link with Sri Lanka, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Farooq Abdullah, has said that Prime Minister Modi must ensure India doesn't meet a similar fate. This is the latest in a series of comments coming in from the opposition that does nothing other than fearmonger. They have predicted doom for the economy and a dramatic downfall of the NDA Sarkar. Listen it.
देखिए, कुछ भी हो सकता है, अल्लाह रहम करे. हम तो दुआ करते हैं कि अल्लाह ताला हमें उस मुश्किल से निजात दे जो श्रीलंका में हुई है. अल्लाह करे कि हमारी हुकूमत के लोग जो हैं वो इस सिचुएशन को समझते हुए ऐसे इक़दामात उठाएं कि हम उस तरफ न जाएं.
इंडिया में तो मोदी जी का हालत भी ऐसा ही है. सब कुछ दिन के डे बाय डे ये तेल का दाम, दूसरा चीज़ का दाम बढ़ रहा. इज डूइंग नथिंग. वो जो वहाँ का जो राष्ट्रपति का जो हाल हुआ अभी श्रीलंका में, वो हाल तो मेरा ख्याल से यहाँ मोदी जी का हो जाएगा. मोदी जी का प्रधानमंत्री का वही हाल होगा.
Some point of time, situations were unlike India. China versus Christian, Muslim, and this led to unemployment and inflation. And also Sri Lanka landed up in big debt, and that finally led to a chaos situation. So it's a warning for us.
Now here's a quick fact check for the Doomsday Brigade. India's GDP is 2.62 lakh crores US dollars. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's GDP is just about 8,000 crore US dollars. Compare the two countries with GDP per capita or forex reserves for the year-on-year growth of the economy. The margin between the two countries is nowhere comparable, and the numbers are on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. While India's GDP stands at 7.5% growth rate, Sri Lanka's GDP is growing at 2.4%, and it's a downward spiral for the Lankan economy because of the debt trap China has laid for the island nation. Now let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, the protests taking place in Sri Lanka are against the Rajapaksas, the family that is to blame for the downfall of the country, a family at the center of the unending crisis. Does that ring a bell? Family-run political parties running governments is not a new phenomenon for India. For 40 years, out of the 74 years India has been independent, Gandhis were the Congress presidents, and 36 out of the 52 years Gandhis were prime ministers of this country. That Parivarvad is what the BJP is reminding the opposition of when they draw the Lanka analogy with India. So while the opposition predicts Lanka like doom for India, they are completely turning a blind eye to what causes these have led to. So the legitimate question we are asking on the Newshour tonight: are Dynasts ignoring Lanka's lesson? That's the question, and that's the debate. Lanka Dynasty ditched. That's the hashtag and the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight on the Newshour is Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP. To my right. To my left is Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, supports the Congress party. Suhail Seth, author and columnist, also joins me. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, also on the debate. Tanveer Ahmed, national spokesperson of the JDS. present on the Newshour tonight after a long gap. Welcome Mr. Tanveer Ahmed and thank you for joining Newshour. But my first question tonight goes to Mr. Biswajit Deb, spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. I want to ask you, Mr. Biswajit Deb, when the opposition compares India with Sri Lanka or India hurtling towards a Sri Lanka kind of situation, do you want to pause and think about some of the reasons Sri Lanka is where it is? The debt trap is because they walked into China's hands with their eyes open, and it was a debt trap laid by China. The fact that they have a prime minister office, the president, all of them coming from the same family, including the agriculture minister, tourism minister, irrigation minister, sports minister, as well as the prime minister's chief of staff, all of them from one family, which is the Rajapaksa family. And then there is, of course, the freebie culture, where taxes were reduced, where sudden intelligence dawned on them that they should move only to organic farming, and which is why Sri Lanka doesn't even have food grains to eat. Do you really think that India is hurtling towards a Sri Lanka kind of situation, or is this just political rhetoric? I think you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Which is what most of TMC is.
There is no doubt. You see, we are struggling with an excessive inflation in the country. We can see the economic condition of the country, how the fuel prices are rising day by day, how the cooking gas, the price of the cooking gas is rising day by day, in spite of the fact that our leader Mamata Banerjee is putting in money in the bank accounts of the women. Modi ji is taking away those money when he is rising, when the price of the gas, price of the cooking gas is rising on a daily basis. That is what he is doing. And we can see the condition of the employment. There is no employment, there is no infrastructure, there is no industry. Since the last 8 years, we have seen nothing. What we have seen, today we have seen how the national emblem also has been insulted. It's an insult to the nation, it's an insult to the country, it's an insult to the constitution. This is what BJP is doing. This is what they are doing. And the country is heading towards an anarchy, I would rather say. And it is high time that the government should take steps to check the inflation, to check the high rise of the prices of the most essential commodities, and to check especially the inflation, rather than concentrating on such issues like the national emblem or spending huge amounts for the new Parliament House. The government should think about something positive, to do something positive for the people. 8 years they have done nothing. It's only what they have done is bhashan. And what Mamata Banerjee did in Bengal is giving ration to the people. Well, their only politics is divisive politics. They have divided people on the basis of religion. That is what they did. And they wanted to encash politically by dividing the people on the basis of religion. We can see number of incidents. I don't want to quote. I don't want to quote such individuals.
All right, you put the ball back in the court of the BJP. I'm coming to you, Suhail Seth, right after Shehzad Poonawalla. But do you want to respond to Mr. Biswajit Deb, who said that the prices, inflation rates and the divisive politics is what the BJP is given to this country?
You see, the Congress and the ecosystem recently spoke about DDLJ in the press conference. The real DDLJ is this doomsday lobby ka jhoot. What is this doomsday lobby ka jhoot? Sri Lanka economy $80 billion, GDP of India 3 trillion, Forex 2 billion of Sri Lanka, Forex for India 585 billion, exports of Sri Lanka 15 billion, exports of India more than 400 billion, inflation in Sri Lanka 32% food inflation in India 7%, and this is the time when they ran the government government with UPA, it was 10% inflation 9 times between 2012 to 2014. They were part of that government. They are talking about the price rise. 400% sugar prices rose between 2004 to 14. Left and TMC were part of that government at alternative occasions. 300% rises in the oil prices, 300% rises in the pulses prices. This is the price rise they gave, and today they are talking when there are two economic world crises that is happening, Ukraine-Russia war and COVID crisis. Still the average inflation is between 7 to 7.5%, has not gone beyond that, and even United States is facing 40% year high in inflation. But having said that, let me come to the fact of Sri Lanka.
But let me put in a rider. The numbers that you're talking about, let's talk about Sri Lanka, which is an island country this size, and India, which is a country of 135 crore people.
I got your question. When Sri Lanka is an island country of this size and India is this size, then why were the two being compared by Rahul Gandhi and by Udit Raj? Now let me come to the final point. The summation of Sri Lankan problem is family first politics, Parivarvad above Rashtravad. Who's doing that in Sri Lanka? Mahinda, Godbaya, Basil, Chamal, Namal, Lalit, and who's doing it in India? Motilal, Jawaharlal, Indira, Rajiv, Sonia, Rahul, Priyanka, Rehan, Rawat. Now who's doing China first policy in Sri Lanka? We've seen in China first here, INC mindset. I need China mindset. Who has the MOU? Thirdly, freebies first. By the way, West Bengal ka debt kitna hai? Biswajit Deb, Sri Lanka's debt is 6 lakh crore, and a state of West Bengal, the debt is, you know what? Take a guess, 5.6 lakh crore. Tamil Nadu, 6.6 lakh crore. Punjab, 3 lakh crore. So this freebie first, family first, corruption first, and China first policy is responsible for Sri Lankan crisis, and it may be responsible for your party crisis also. It may be responsible for your party crisis also.
First tell the nation that what the Prime Minister has done.
I'll tell you, sir. I'll tell you. Please. No, you have asked me. No, I'll tell you. You have asked me, I'll tell you. 80 crore people got free rations for last 2 years. 12 crore people got toilets for free. 3 crore people got houses. We gave 12 crore Kisan, 1.80 lakh crores in Kisan Samman Nidhi. No, I will tell you what we have done. No, very good topic. One IIT growth at 12 were high, 19.6%. Year-on-year growth in the job market, 15%. Services has grown for the last 8 years. The highest growth has been recorded. Family first is being done by you. Divide and rule is being done by you, and you are the one who plays vote bank politics. You have played vote bank politics.
Only divisive politics.
Well, one minute, Mr. Dev. Tehseen Poonawala. Shehzad is right. You know, if dynastic politics is what has got Sri Lanka down, why doesn't the Congress party tell Udit Raj a fact or two about dynasties in the Congress party and how everything runs on that dynasty? How many Congress presidents have been from the Gandhi Parivar? How many from others? How many prime ministers have been from the Gandhi Parivar and how many from the others? Please tell us a little bit about that as well before you compare India and Sri Lanka.
Namaskar Navika ji, thank you for having me on the show. Namaskar to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. They say that there are 3 types of lies. Lies, damn lies and statistics. So what Shehzad did in the studio is gave out statistics which are the worst kinds of lies, which is why he's a representative of BJP, the Bada Jhoota party. And therefore the man who starts his speech on TV saying that look, we are against freebies, then goes on to from WhatsApp University say we've given 12 crore toilets, those toilets are not functioning, we've given houses for free, we've given this free, that free, and that's the only achievement, which also are statistics that are made up. Where is the problem? No, India, sir, I did not interrupt you. Sir, I did not interrupt. Sir, I did not interrupt you. Ma'am, if you kindly allow me to speak.
The women of this country have been empowered to go to the toilet whenever they want. They have dignity.
The toilets don't have water to drink.
For your CAG report.
Why do you not put a CAG report in front of us?
Only a man who has Rolex out of ill-gotten wealth can say toilet is a freebie.
No, I'm not wearing a Rolex. I'm wearing an even more important watch because I don't call myself that I'm not living on a taxpayer money. I pay my taxes. I pay my taxes.
But come on.
Why is he interrupting me? He's interrupting me because he doesn't want the viewers to hear. Please, allow me to make intellectual
Somebody can turn around and ask you a question that you've been in power till 2014. Okay, 8 years ago, which was 68 years after independence of this country.
Yes.
And women still did not have toilets to go to.
That's not true. And that's not the statistic we have to debate, but that's not true. The CAG report is out there for the people, and the CAG report says that the toilet they claim is not 2 days open.
Every village and every household had toilets.
No, it did not have, and neither does it have today. Please allow me to put statistics. I'm here for that debate, not to debate toilets, but open defecation is still on today. Of course I've come, and open defecation investigation is still on, the CAG report there. Please, I would like to make an intellectual point that he's trying to disrupt so that the points don't go out. Look, India is not close to being Sri Lanka at the moment. The problem is India is on a road heading, if we don't pay attention, towards Sri Lanka. And there are certain reasons for this. A, Sri Lanka had an authoritarian government like the one we have here. A man got up one night, said there will be no fertilizer farming, there will be organic farming. Like the Prime Minister got up and said there will be demonetization. Like GST, please keep quiet. And here's the problem. India's foreign exchange reserve is currently at 585 billion. There's been a massive withdrawal recently. India's external debt due in 2022 is at $273 billion. Almost 50% of this. Our Indian oil imports have doubled from $62 billion to almost $130 billion. Crude prices have risen, the rupee has got weak. Our trade deficit is an alarming 88%, and the fact that our economy is contracting for the first time in 45 years puts us in a precarious situation. Now, what happened in Sri Lanka is anyone would raise any question on the media, either they were called anti-nationals or their voices were shut down or it was deflected, like what's happening out here. We don't want that to happen in India. We don't want Prime Minister Modi to go. We want to defeat him democratically, but you must have the humility to listen and not give out damn lies on TV or statistics on TV, including about
what was the forex reserves during Manmohan Singh's time?
The forex reserves of 480 billion. But
you're lying. If you're lying, you'll leave this debate. It was $250 billion. And it is $250 billion, and today it's 585.
What has been the debt to? Hold on. What has been
postgraduate. Other people who are on this debate, let me make an important point.
No, but I want to tell you.
What was the foreign exchange reserves in 2014?
I want to only
tell him and please inform him that he lied about it on
I only want to tell you one thing, that fact checkers, as you just checked out his facts, fact checkers cannot be questioned. That's the system that Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla comes from. But let me get in Suhail Seth. Suhail Seth, are we really hurtling towards a situation like Sri Lanka? I want to ask you this because when our political leaders make such statements, people of this country would wonder, what are they not telling us? These are parliamentarians, these are people who are responsible, represented in the parliament, they may know more than us. Is it not going to lead to a spread of panic?
First, India will never become like Sri Lanka. We've got luminaries in terms of economists in our country. Biswajit Dev mentioned Mamata Banerjee. She is a luminary as far as economics and economist theories are concerned. Rahul Gandhi has shown us time and again that he's an economist of great repute and great talent. We've got economists, actually we've got more economists in India than functioning traffic lights. One economist actually takes advice from New York taxi drivers. I mean, on a serious note, it's apples and oranges. You know, the TMC is right, Biswajit Da is right. Modi is responsible for everything. Tomorrow, if a stationary bus hits Biswajit Dev, he will blame Modi for it. But the reality is, don't compare Sri Lanka to India for various other reasons. Number one, we're a functioning democracy, or else Abhishek Banerjee would have been Prime Minister with Mamata Banerjee being Chief Minister. Or the Poonawalla brothers, who have fought so gallantly and valiantly in the studio, would actually be running this country. But these poor chaps are in different parties. Although I have a sneaky feeling that they are working together so that, you know, they hedge their bets. That's a smart strategy. But also, Navika, why should politicians demean their own country? Why should people who work in politics in a country like India continuously demean India? Is that something to be proud of? Yes, Biswajit Da is right. If there are issues with employment, if there are issues with job growth, with economics, find a solution. We cannot be the communist Bengal Biswajit Da, where the communists had a problem for every solution. You're becoming exactly like that. And you're far brighter than the communists ever were. I have three things to say, and I will end with that. Number one, India is a robust, functioning democracy, which is why the might of the BJP, including their could not defeat a Mamata Banerjee. So Biswajit Da, you're happy? Number two, we have a functioning Supreme Court, we have a functioning judiciary. We have 1 minute now. Just because I've told you you've done a good job doesn't mean you start interrupting me. See, this is the problem with TMC. Give TMC an arm, they'll take the whole body. 1 minute. Arey, আবার আপনি বলছেন, আমি তো আপনাকে ইন্টারাপ্ট করলাম না। ভালো করে আমরা তো দুজন বাঙালি। We have to talk with civility. Number 3, as Navika rightly said, when you discuss India, you must discuss India with 2 things, with pride and solution, not false pride. Today, I don't believe that we will go the Sri Lanka way because we haven't sold our souls to China. We haven't sold the family silver to China. We haven't done deals with China as the scoundrels that the Rajpakshas did. We will not have people fleeing from our country. Yes, there'll be the occasional politician who will go on a holiday after strenuous work every 3 or 4 weeks. That's fine. He's entitled to that. But just because one politician goes abroad every 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 weeks, that doesn't mean our politicians are fleeing. You ask Vishwajit, Mamta Banerjee hasn't ever gone abroad except for a delegation to seek investment in India. So I am not at all worried. I think we're in a great place. We won't see the scenes like that. I don't think people will be even close to coming to Rashtrapati Bhavan or the Prime Minister's residence. I don't believe that we will succumb to anarchy and chaos like the Sri Lankans have done. I feel terrible for the Sri Lankan people. No country deserves the kind of leaders they've had. And I'm glad, and I will just say this finally, Vishwajit, neither Mamta nor Narendra Modi stole the election. They were elected by people. Respect that. So when you cast aspersions on a Prime Minister or a Chief Minister, respect the fact that he or she came in through a well-deserved, well-earned, democratic mandate. If nothing else, respect that and nothing more.
We respect that. And the people of the country.
Now you please interrupt all the other participants. I'm done. Now you keep interrupting.
They also expect something from the Prime Minister.
But that's, that is anarchy that you are encouraging. That is anarchy that you are encouraging. Just because you finish stating your piece, you are saying anarchy is all right. It's not fair, and that's not the rule of law.
Will take care about
on this debate as well.
Which has not been done.
Well, so let me get in Tanveer Ahmed. Tanveer Ahmed, you had a broad smile on your face when Mr. Suhail made the mention of one politician going abroad every 3 or 4 weeks. I want to ask you, why do opposition parties have to take a dig at their own country? I mean, while they may want to take digs or raise questions to the government, it's their right. But to begin to create an atmosphere of uncertainty to spread panic, is that responsible politics, Mr. Ahmed?
I totally agree with what Mr. Suhail said that India is definitely not going Sri Lankan way. Absolutely no, because India is a robust economy. It has been well crafted, drafted by hard-working Indians who have really built India with emotion, with pride. But the problem is, I have problem with Times Now's wording saying that dynasty politics. Dynasty politics never destroyed any country. If at all you see that Joseph Stalin was not a dynast, Hitler was not a dynast, neither was Mussolini. They were first-time politicians, but they ended up destroying their own countries. A bad intention of a political party which works on majoritarian rule,
are you saying the Rajapakshas were also good for Sri Lanka? Are you saying that?
Come again, I'm sorry, I just missed you.
I said, are you saying the Rajapakshas were good for Sri Lanka? The same president, the same prime minister, the same agriculture minister, the same irrigation minister, same family controlling all top jobs. Nobody raises a question, and that's the point. That's the point that the Times Now debate is making. That dynasties have a problem.
Came to power, Navika, how did one second, how did Rajapakshas came to power? By targeting minorities, by calling to the linguistic minorities names, by calling them as terrorists. That's how they came to power. They wanted to really impress one set of power. They really came with a huge mandate. But how did they end up really ruling the Sri Lankan to success? Absolutely no. They totally destroyed it. It is not dynasty politics. Kumaraswamy has bigger responsibility because he have to fill into the shoes of Devegowda. He has to outsmart and outbeat Devegowda. People would ask him a question that your father had done this. What did you do? The person coming from dynasty politics have
Mr.
bigger
Tanveer
responsibility
Ahmed,
because
Mr. Tanveer Ahmed, nobody has forgotten the visuals of Mr. Kumaraswamy who has to get into the shoes of Mr. H.D. Devegowda, covering his face with a handkerchief and going into 10 Janpath. People in this country are not going to forget that visual in a long time.
People have not forgotten what Kumaraswamy did. People still have not forgotten what Kumaraswamy did. Did he waive farmers' loan? Yes. Was the GDP doing better in Karnataka? Absolutely fantastic. Did he bring new industries? Yes. Did he bring new colleges? Yes. Did he drafted education policy? Yes. Did he bring 1,840 schools? Yes. Did he bring 5 medical colleges, 4 engineering colleges? Yes, he did. That is what people have not forgotten about Kumaraswamy. They have seen that, your father did this, but you have done better. You have absolutely done better. That is what people of Karnataka believes about Kumaraswamy. Blaming Dynasts politics is absolutely no.
Well, yes, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, a strong case has been put by Tanveer Ahmed that we are barking up the wrong tree of dynasty. It's got nothing to do with the failure of Sri Lanka, and dynasty is not the problem. Would you want to respond to Mr. Tanveer Ahmed?
Good evening, Navika. First of all, welcome back. As they say, people recover from COVID, but a tough Punjabi that you are, COVID is recovering from you. So well done.
Thank you.
There are a couple of points I want to make.
Get well wishes, best wishes, or are you taking a dig at me?
If you're above 18, you can also get a free vaccine.
No, not at all.
But thank you very much. Yes,
absolutely
good
fantastic
to be back.
To see you back. And I was complimenting your Punjabiyat. At completely thrashed.
Yes, absolutely.
That's true. No, there are a couple of issues here, and I think. And I think I would like to take a couple of minutes to actually elaborate on both, because both are important. One is dynasty and the other is the Lankan crisis. As you say, Navika, it is a tragedy that while Sri Lankans are wishing their country was India, some Indians are wishing their country was Sri Lanka. Nations recover, haters don't. That is a thing that we need to remember. And if we look at Sri Lanka, why on earth would anyone, leave alone an economist, believe that India is going the Lankan way? You look at the debt to GDP ratio. In Sri Lanka it was 120. But that's not all. A series of catastrophic events come together to make this so-called perfect storm where nations go into this abyss. India went into this abyss in 1991. Our GDP to debt to GDP ratio at that point of time was 50%, and yet our forex was not even $1 billion. Sri Lanka is at least $2 billion. We were $0.6 billion. We mortgaged our gold. We loaded it onto the ships and it was about to reach the Bank of England. So the things were that dire, but we recovered, didn't we? The point with Lanka is that 3 or 4 things have happened at the same time. This debt assets, China financing 10% of their debt, organic farming, 3 or 4 other decisions that have led to the crisis. India is nowhere near those crises. If you look at our inflation, if you look at all the other countries, for example, France's debt to GDP ratio is 120% more than Lanka. Japan is 270%. Do you mean to say Japan is going the Lankan way? No, it doesn't happen like that. 3 or 4 decisions come together, and this is where I come to the second issue, which is the dynasty. The problem with India is that one can never be sure if India is going to go that way or not. I say right now it won't. But if you look at what we have been doing, we are also in this freebie culture, aren't we? In fact, if you look at Bengal's debt to GDP ratio, it's almost 41%, same with Punjab. Now, every party is for freebies, but at the same time, nobody wants to improve our capacity. Nobody wants to improve our capacity to generate more and more GDP. Nobody wants reforms. Nobody wants farm reform. Nobody wants privatization. And yet, we want to keep on giving this freebie culture. What happened in Lanka is directly tied to the dynasty. Yeah, Navika, just 1 minute, because now I come to the other issue. You see, it's never about dynasty alone, but rather how deep rooted it is. Every political party is infected with this disease. 45 current BJP MPs and more than 92 BJP MLAs have dynastic linkages. And the BJP's defense that theirs are the one generation linkages, unlike the dendritic linkages of the Congress and regional parties, is thin, to be honest, because even one generation dynasty linkage can endow nepotism, preferential, non-meritorious advantage and privilege, and can and does take away the opportunity of a non-dynast candidates. Remember, in politics, first mover advantage is everything. And two, this is classic case of moral relativism trying to rationalize your hypocrisy. That said, Congress is special. Just 30 seconds, because the fire lit by the erstwhile Congress Zamindars Navika has singed the minds of their progeny so completely that nothing grows on that charred landscape except entitlement. Let me illustrate the damage it causes with just one example. 20 seconds. Here are the last census indices of Amethi and Raebareli, the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty bastion for 60 years. People below poverty line, 54%. Households with electricity, 14%. Vaccinated children, 16%. National deaths, 83 per thousand. For India, it was 28. This is what the dynasty reduced Amethi and Raebareli to. So you see what I'm saying? Well, there is a perfect storm created by three or four issues that come together and take the nation into an abyss,
and let me ask you, added to this, the question of dynasties. Just like you saw the Rajapaksas, from president, prime minister to every ministerial position to chief of staff occupied by the Rajapaksas. Who's going to ask the tough questions, whether a policy is going to be correct or not correct for the country? And same was the situation. You had a Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who came with an ordinance to try and protect Lalu Prasad Yadav and allow convicted people to come back to Parliament, and Rahul Gandhi sat there and tore it. And Mr. Prime Minister did not have the audacity to even question the tearing off of ordinance that was passed by his entire cabinet. I want to ask you, Tehseen Poonawalla, that's what dynastic politics holds to ransom the power structure.
You are right to the point that when somebody is absolutely dictatorial or holds power without accountability, there is a problem in the economy, as we have a problem in the current Indian economy, because the Prime Minister is not held accountable because others are raised question. Nobody from the Gandhi-Nehru family has been Prime Minister for the past 40 years. They haven't been Prime Ministers. And if you are saying Rahul Gandhi is wrong for not allowing criminals and convicted people for coming into power, then maybe the BJP, where one of the ministers, when Modi, please, I cannot talk this way because every point I'm being interrupted. Please allow me to make my point. Because when Modi was Chief Minister of Gujarat, let your viewers know, a man who was convicted continued to operate as minister, and Mr. Modi refused to sack him as Chief Minister of Gujarat, and he refused to take a position. Where was the Lokpal, the extra tea that Mr. Modi was supposed to bring in after that? So please, the extra tea that he went to against the Lok Ayukta to the Supreme Court. So let's not get into Mr. Modi's virtues. What is the problem with India? Let's understand the problem. The problem where Anand is saying is that not only is our economy contracting, for our domestic consumption is only 65%, says the RBI. In the month of May this year, we've imported 101 tons of gold. If this does not tell you how precarious our economy is, nothing will tell you. This was to 13 tons last year. Figures for June is expected to be 120 tons. The government is in panic. You are talking about foreign reserves. You've had $19 billion being pulled out in the last 1 week. You have a balance of payment that could lead to a crisis if there's further panic. Then your bonds can be downgraded. You are not seeing that you're staring down a spiral, and all you're doing is you're being authoritative.
Well, that is the problem. You're being authoritative, you're staring down a spiral.
India's foreign reserves in 2014 was 322 billion,
and Rahul Gandhi was right in tearing off the ordinance, and Dr. Manmohan Singh doesn't know anything because he passed the convicted Netas bill.
You know, we can all debate about this, but the one factor that everybody is talking about tonight is about the Chinese debt trap that Sri Lanka has been fallen into. Rahul Gandhi on record said China offers an opportunity of hope and economic development to people, whereas Chinese MOU is signed with the Congress party. Now today they should tell us what is in that MOU. Why? One second, please do not interrupt. During the UPA tenure, the trade deficit increased 33 times during the UPA tenure.
If Rahul Gandhi is doing deals with China, why are you increasing the trade deficit? Today India is in a precarious situation even with China.
I just need to interrupt you for a minute because I'm being joined by Sajid Premadasa, leader of the opposition in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much, Mr. Premadasa, for joining me on the Newshour tonight. My first question to you, there has been violence in Sri Lanka. Protesters have been on the streets and Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa has run away to the Maldives. What do you believe is his final destination, and are you happy that he is left, or do you intend to somehow hold him and his family accountable for what is going on in Sri Lanka today?
I have absolutely no idea as to where he is right now, and I'm not interested in where he is. That is not my business. My business is bringing our country out of this devastated situation. That is my duty, and I will do my duty. In doing so, we will bring to book all those who have looted from the public treasury, all those who have stolen state assets, all those who have stolen the Sri Lankan people's public property. But that will be done through a transparent judicial procedure, not through the involvement of politicians. It's not our business to do that, but it is a business of authentic, independent judicial institutions to apprehend corrupt politicians and officials and repatriate monies that were stolen from the Sri Lankan people.
Well, Mr. Premadasa, do you think dynastic politics is responsible for the crisis that Sri Lanka is facing today?
The present status, as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, is a very, very sorry state. It's a dilapidated state. It's a country that is crying for some sort of growth and prosperity. All this was caused because the wrong mandate was given at the presidential polls in 2019 and in the general election polls in 2020. These corrupt, decrepit politicians did not all of a sudden appear from either Moon, Mars, Saturn or Jupiter. They were brought into power by a mandate, by a people's mandate. So it's the wrong decisions that led to this corrupt administration ruining our motherland.
How soon do you think the economic breakdown in Sri Lanka can be brought back on its rails? In fact, Mr. Wickramasinghe has been talking about at least 4 years to bring Sri Lanka back on the right economic path. Do you have a blueprint on how this has to be done?
We are ready with the plan. We have the best team. We have the best architects of economic policy. What we need is a mandate. We need a working majority with a coherent approach to ensure that our economic plan works. And of course, we won't have short-term prosperity. We will have to go through a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. But those are the consequences of decisions that were made in 2019 and 2020. Unfortunately, that will be the reality. In order for us to return to 2019 levels, I would say it would take a minimum of 4 to 5 years.
Mr. Premadasa, I want to ask you before I let you go. Do you think it is the Rajapaksas falling into the Chinese debt trap that has led to the situation that Sri Lanka is in today? Are you wary of the Chinese influence on the Sri Lankan economy?
Sri Lanka's crisis has its sources in domestic politics. You cannot blame country A, B, C, D, E, etc. The governors of this country, the rulers of this country, who had a mandate. They had a trusteeship. They were temporary custodians, guardians of this country. But they ruined this country through impractical, lunatic decision making. They embarked on a policy of voodoo economics, and they were experimenting with the 22 million people of the country. I don't blame any other nation state other than the government that has completely brought this country into chaos, and it has brought down to the precipice of disaster.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Premadasa, for joining me on the news hour. We are hoping Sri Lanka and its people become safe and do not lack for anything, and the anarchy is taken control of and peace returns to Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for joining me on the news hour tonight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the other debate that we are looking at. Ever since Draupadi Murmu was nominated as India's presidential candidate by the ruling party and its alliance partners, the opposition has lined up to discredit her. From calling her a dummy president candidate and a rubber stamp today, another insult was hurled at her. Congress Neta Ajay Kumar said Draupadi Murmu represents an evil philosophy. The BJP took no time to slam the Congress party's mindset while demanding an apology. The JMM too said that Adivasis are real and indigenous philosophy of India, and one should learn before commenting on people from this community. The outrage has prompted a clarification from the leader himself. Listen in to Ajay Kumar of the Congress party.
She represents a very evil philosophy of India. So we should not mistake Draupadi, we should not make Draupadi Murmu ji as a symbol of Adivasi.
अमित मालविया जी बीजेपी के आईटी सेल के इंचार्ज हैं और वो डॉक्टर वीडियो भेज रहे हैं। बीजेपी सरकार, केंद्र सरकार में ये बाकी के ऊपर, सभी के ऊपर हमला करते हैं कि ये डॉक्टर वीडियो केस करेंगे, जेल भेज देंगे। इन्हीं के आईटी हेड जो है उस वीडियो को, डॉक्टर 1 मिनट का वीडियो को 17 सेकंड बना करके पूरी तरह से जो है झूठ फैलाने की कोशिश की।
So the legitimate question on the news hour tonight is maligning the rival only resort for the Congress party? That's the question, and that's the debate. Murmu evil child. That's the hashtag. And joining me along with Shehzad Poonawala, Dr. Anand Ranganathan and Tehseen Poonawala is Syed Faisal Ali, senior leader of the RJD. Ali साहब, evil philosophy है द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी की, कांग्रेस का ऐसा कहना है, क्या आप इससे सहमत हैं? Do you agree with this?
See, as for what the Congress spokesman has said, it's Tehseen Poonawala's call, he will reply. But as far as Murmu is concerned, I think why BJP has chosen Murmu as candidate, we should debate on that. And I have heard Dr. Ajay Kumar saying that he didn't mean to hurt Draupadi Murmu. Simply he wanted to say that the philosophy or the party which she belongs to, or the party which has propped up her up for the top job, is evil. That is point number one. Secondly, everybody knows that Draupadi Murmu was a desperate choice of the Bharatiya Janata Party to win presidential race. We all know that BJP was short of numbers.
Why are you calling a desperate choice?
Of course, number was not. Navika, you also know that they were short of votes, and Mr. Naveen Patnaik was not opening his cards. Nitish Kumar was also very keeping quiet. So this was not sure that if they are putting any other candidate, he or she will win.
All right, Shehzad Poonawala, desperate choice because you did not have the numbers.
Assembly election dues. Okay. Navika, first of all, if a tree is poisoned, the fruits can't be good. So if the fruit is good, the tree has to also be good. Secondly, look at the mindset of the Congress party. This is the Congress party that denied Ambedkar ji. They made him lose elections when he was alive. Please, Mr. Ali, I'm speaking about Congress. Why are you interrupting? Have you done an alliance in Bihar with them? Then please don't interrupt. Congress party defeated Ambedkar ji twice while he was alive. Congress party denied him the Bharat Ratna for 40 years. Congress party, in fact, the highest number of rapes against SC/STs in the Congress ruled state of Rajasthan, one of the highest. Mr. Ashok Gehlot comes out and says that these rape cases are fake. They called Ramnath Kovind ji deaf and dumb. They've called Draupadi Murmu ji from their official handle of Puducherry Congress that she is a dummy candidate. Yashwant Sinha has called her a remote control candidate. So time and again they've abused scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. In fact, they've even denied Bhagwan Birsa Munda his due place in history for so many decades because they had to do Mahima Mandan of just one family, and therefore this is their reality. Today, this is the reality of the Congress party. They have insulted not just one Draupadi Murmu ji, but they have insulted the entire women, they have insulted the tribal community, they have insulted all the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and even the OBC community. They abuse the Prime Minister, who is an OBC, on his caste daily. They've called him Neech, they've called him Gangu Teli. So this is the mindset which is Adivasi Virodhi, Dalit Virodhi, OBC Virodhi, and this has been reflected. And therefore for 70 years they denied this community their rights. They've denied it only for one family. And I want to ask them today that why is it that the first woman tribal president, when she was the longest serving Jharkhand governor, she was 2 times MLA, she rose up from the grassroots, she won the election at the grassroots level. Does that represent an evil philosophy? She challenged socio-economic circumstances, even her own personal circumstances, and rose to the top. Is that evil for the Congress?
What is the evil philosophy? And number 2, the question raised by Mr. Ali. Where is the shortage of numbers? JMM has gone. Alliance with the Congress party has gone on to support Murmu ji. Number 2, 1 minute Ali Saab. Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray fame, alliance with you till some days ago has gone and supported Murmu ji. Naveen Patnaik, Murmu supporting. Jagan Reddy, part of the Congress at one time, now supporting Murmu ji. Where is the problem on numbers as well? Is the problem with the mindset of the Congress?
I just hope I'm not interrupted by my fellow panelists. Just 3 or 4 very quick points. A, I am on record saying this very clearly about Ajoy ji. The entire bite of Ajoy ji, and he says Draupadi ji is a very good candidate, as is Yashwant ji. However, she represents the BJP, which is a poisonous mindset, or whatever that he said. That was the mindset word that he used. Evil mindset. I'm sorry, but he said that she's a very good candidate. He's on record saying that. So it's not becoming of a national party to edit videos and put that way. Having said that, please, Shahzad, don't interrupt me. Allow me to make my points.
There is no editing. He said it very clearly.
He said it, and please play the full video. But you can interrupt me after I finish. Please allow me to finish. I have 2 questions, and I'll end out here. The BJP refused to support K.R. Narayanan, who was the first Dalit president of India. Are they anti-Dalit? The BJP voted against Pratibha Patil ji, the first woman president of India. Are they anti-women? The BJP voted against Sangma ji, the first tribal speaker. Are they anti-tribals? Under the BJP, the NCRB data as of last week, Times of India says the crimes against SC/ST fellow citizens have gone up by 10.7%. The highest crimes being in UP and MP. Are they anti-SC/ST? So the fact is the BJP does nothing but comes on television and just wants to edit videos. Please play out the entire video.
You are saying that evil philosophy is just part of politics.
It's part of the BJP's politics.
First of all, he did not compliment Draupadi ji.
He did. He did, sir.
He did not say she's a good candidate. He said she's okay, but she represents an evil philosophy, and I'm quoting him. She represents an evil philosophy, and she represents the Adivasis. I can make you hear it for the shortage of time, and Anand.
He said that she's the exact
the bite. And secondly, can I please ask, if they are so much in favor of scheduled tribes, then they're first of all, it's not about the numbers. I don't even think Mr. Faisal Ali knows how many numbers are required to make a person a president. But that aside, the fact of the matter is that today they are on the wrong side of history. Even their own allies are supporting this.
Why did you vote against K.R. Narayanan as Dalit president? Why did you vote against Pratibha Patil?
Dr. Anand Ranganathan, I want to ask you, evil philosophy associating that with Murmu, is that a desperate Congress doing that? Because frankly they don't matter. They don't matter in the country. 17 states, they do not have a Rajya Sabha member of parliament, and their numbers are dwindling in both houses, and the states that they control also dwindling in that same speed. I want to ask you, is this totally desperate?
Navika, you know this, that right now tonight on the debate there are 3 blood brothers. There is Anand, there is Shahzad, and there is Tehseen. Unfortunately, Shahzad and Tehseen are in the studio, and they are grabbing most of the time. So can I please request my other 2 brothers?
30 seconds, Anand, I'm running out of time.
This time. I know both of you are in studio and you cannot be. Okay, so 30 seconds is the attack by the Congress on the presidential candidate Navika, Ms. Draupadi ji, is vile and totally reprehensible, and entirely in keeping with their lack of intelligence and abundance of mediocrity and servitude towards the dynasty. They simply cannot understand how one tribal woman can reach to the very top purely through her hard work and perseverance. But the vileness of the attack has, I must admit, even taken me by surprise. The pretense is all gone now, Navika. So is the political correctness. That anyway for the Congress was a thin veneer to begin with, that the Honorable Draupadi is a tribal, that she is a woman, that she has reached where she has purely on merit, is of no consequence to these dynasty lapdogs, because they are associated her with, now what they say, quote unquote, evil philosophy. Do they mean Hindutva? If they do, then this is psychopathy topped up with profound ignorance. क्या कर रहे हैं ये लोग?
Absolutely. Is the Congress party completely out of sync? And is this right for them to say about a woman who has risen up the ranks on her own merit, come through elections time to time, has a great record of governance, and is standing to represent a country of 135 crore people, being called somebody who follows evil philosophy or represents evil philosophy? Well, is that the bankruptcy of the Congress party? Many will ask tonight. That's the question. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight, and thank you to all my panelists as well. Good night. Be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
For decision makers, for the opinionated, for the unsure, for dinner time debaters, from metro stations to living rooms.
We present the facts and help India make a judgment. From stories that shake the nation to opinions that shape them, I delve deep into the biggest news of the day and uncover every fact, every source, and every statement through debate and discussion. Get a 360-degree perspective on every story and get a conclusive closure. Join me, Navika Kumar, on the Newshour at 9, only on Times Now.
सबका साथ, सबका विकास और अब सबका विश्वास, ये हमारा मंत्र है।
Bharatiya Janata Party, which has been relentlessly accused by the opposition of ignoring Muslim voters, is leaving no stone unturned to maintain its way in Uttar Pradesh till the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Buoyed by the party's performance in SP bastions Azamgarh and Rampur, BJP is now eyeing Pasmanda Muslim community in the state. Pasmanda, which means left behind in Farsi. It accounts for around 75% of the total Muslim population in Uttar Pradesh. During the recently concluded National Executive meeting in Hyderabad, PM Modi had asked the UP BJP cadre to ramp up the outreach among the Pasmanda community for their social upliftment. Even Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is learnt to have taken feedback from the UP unit about the contribution of Pasmanda community in the Saffron Party's electoral performance since the 2014 Lok Sabha elections. While RSS has reportedly not received positive feedback on the allegiance of Muslims towards the BJP, a minuscule section of the community has extended its support. Most of the Muslims who supported the BJP in elections are said to be from Pasmanda community who benefited from BJP schemes. Moreover, BJP has also appointed Pasmanda Muslims in key government and organizational positions. For instance, Jamal Siddiqui, who hails from the backward Manihar community, is the national president of BJP's minority wing. Likewise, Danish Azad Ansari is a minister in Yogi Adityanath cabinet, while Iftikhar Javed Ansari is the chairman of UP's Madrasa Education Board. Bharatiya Janata Party's Lok Sabha bypoll victories in Samajwadi Party's bastions Azamgarh and Rampur have emboldened the Saffron Party.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
Welcome. You are watching the News Hour Agenda. I am Padmaja Joshi. Today we will talk about the sheer hypocrisy that is being perpetrated on us over the last few months in the name of religious sentiments. But now there is a new and a very acute example. An example of how some people's hurt sentiments are made ground for anything and everything, but those same people then go and threaten and insult other communities, other religions, and it's perfectly fine. It's acceptable. No one acts, no one cares, no one is outraged. And this stunning hypocrisy's latest center is the Ajmer Dargah, where some people have hijacked the place of worship for their own agenda of hate. You so far have heard of Sarwar Chishti. But before we go any further,
I want you to hear the pearls of wisdom from the son of Sarwar Chishti. If Sarwar Chishti was busy threatening of an agitation that would shake up the country, if he was busy telling Hindus how they have been rulers in the past, that Hindus have been ruled by Muslims in the past, here is what the son of Sarwar Chishti, Adil Chishti, had to offer.
नूपुर शर्मा हिंदू हैं, तो मैं उनसे एक सवाल करना चाहता हूं नूपुर शर्मा से कि 333 करोड़ खुदाओं का एग्जिस्टेंस फिर कैसे माना जाएगा? ये कैसे लॉजिकल है? एक खुदा का तो समझ में आता है जिस पे पूरी इंसानियत का इजमा है, हम कलेक्टिवली तमाम इंसान चाहे वो किसी भी रिलीजन के हो, एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ गॉड पे जो एब्सोल्युटली वन है, वाहिद है, अहद है, उस पे हमारा यकीन है। इंटरप्रिटेशन अलग अलग हैं लोगों के, लेकिन 333 करोड़ खुदा, 333 मिलियन गॉड्स, अ होलसेल ऑफ गॉड्स, उसको कैसे माना जाएगा? और मैं सोचता हूं अगर इंसान को 1000 साल की भी जिंदगी मिले तब भी वो 333 करोड़ खुदाओं को राजी नहीं कर सकता, नॉट इन अ लीस्ट बिट। दूसरी बात नूपुर शर्मा से फिर मैं पूछूंगा, अकॉर्डिंग टू हिंदू माइथोलॉजी विष्णु जी के 10 अवतार हैं, 10 अवतार, उनमें से कुछ इंसान जैसे कहते हैं कि ये इनकारनेशन है, उनमें से कुछ इनकारनेशन इंसानों वाले हैं, उनमें से कुछ इनकारनेशन जानवरों वाले हैं, और कुछ इनकारनेशन ऐसे हैं जो आधे इंसान और आधे जानवर हैं। तो प्लीज नूपुर शर्मा मुझे बताएं कि ये 10 अवतार ये क्या लॉजिकल है, ये प्रैक्टिकल है कि एक भगवान आप कह रहे हो उसे भगवान है, वो 10 अवतार में आता है, जानवर के अलग रूप में, इंसानों के अलग रूप में, और फिर एक फ्यूजन के रूप में। फिर तीसरा, हनुमान जी, उनका वजूद, उनका एग्जिस्टेंस कैसे साबित करेंगे आप? श्री गणेश जी, उनका एग्जिस्टेंस कैसे साबित करेंगे आप? एग्जिस्टेंस से मेरी मुराद आप समझ जाएं कि वो पूरी तरीके से तो इंसान नहीं थे ना, आप खुद मानते हो आपके भगवान हैं, तो श्री गणेश हो या हनुमान जी हो, do they really do these things sound logical? nahi.
Now, here is Adil Chishti, who is waxing eloquent about Hindu gods. He gets to have an opinion. In the Ajmer Dargah, Sarwar Chishti, his nephew, his son, are openly threatening, bullying, boycotting, insulting Hindus and their gods, and the Gehlot government in Rajasthan sits quiet. Why? What is worse, that these people, this Sarwar Chishti, is actually made part of a Sadbhavna rally that is organized by the state police. Unbelievable, isn't it? But it's absolutely true. After Adil Chishti was done mocking Hindu beliefs, after Sarwar Chishti had threatened to rock the country with protests, far from booking either one of them, the Rajasthan police decided to make Sarwar Chishti a part of their Sadbhavna Yatra yesterday in Ajmer, where, again, Sarwar Chishti was offering wisdom on peace and harmony between Hindu and Muslim communities.
सबने हार्मनी मजहब अमानगी की जगह है, गंगा जमनी तहजीब की जगह है, जो जिन्होंने गलत नारे लगाए उनकी मजम्मत करते हैं, ठीक है ना। लेकिन एक चीज ये भी है, प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की औलाद है, उनके लाडले की दरगाह है हज़रत ख्वाजा मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती की। अब हम चाहते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान में अमन अमान कायम रहे, दोनों तरफ के लोग प्यार मोहब्बत से रहे, जिससे पीसफुल कोएग्जिस्टेंस है। बस भैया बस।
So what is going on in Ajmer? Is this the Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb that Sarwar Chishti is talking about, that his own son goes out and mocks Hindu beliefs? Has faith completely been hijacked by Mr. Chishti and his clan to launch a campaign against another religion? And if all of this is happening in plain sight, what is stopping the Gehlot government from acting any single time that the Chief Minister has been asked for accountability? He has only one fig leaf to offer: the purported BJP link to Kanhaiya Lal's killing. But what is the Ajmer link to BJP? Whose links are being probed there? Why isn't this hate campaign being shut down now?
आदिल चिश्ती ने
जिस प्रकार का एक वीडियो जारी किया है जिसमें हिंदू देवी देवताओं का मजाक उड़ाया है, वो घोर आपत्तिजनक है। आप दूसरों के देवी देवताओं का भरपूर मजाक उड़ाएं और कोई मोहम्मद पैगंबर साहब के बारे में इतना ही कह दे जो बाकी लोगों ने भी कहा है, उनका सरतन से जुदा करोगे? ये कौन सी सभ्यता है? ये कौन सा तरीका है? मैं राजस्थान सरकार से अपील करता हूं, यदि आप वास्तव में गंभीर हैं हिंदुओं की आस्थाओं के सम्मान के प्रति, उनके जान माल की सुरक्षा के प्रति, तो अजमेर की दरगाह शरीफ के इन सब चिश्तियों के विरुद्ध कार्यवाही की जाए और सरवर के साथ उसके बेटे आदिल को भी जेल की सलाखों के पीछे भेजा जाए।
अजमेर में जिस तरह की बयानबाजी हो रही है हिंदुओं के खिलाफ, और खासतौर पर चिश्ती परिवार की तरफ से, जो पहले सरवर चिश्ती था, उसके पहले गोहर चिश्ती था और ये आदिल चिश्ती है, जिसने हिंदू देवी देवताओं को टारगेट करके जिस तरह के बयानबाजी किए हैं, मुझे लगता है कि इसके ऊपर सरकार को संज्ञान लेना चाहिए। राजस्थान की सरकार को ऐसे लोगों के खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए। जिस तरह के बयान ये लगातार देते आ रहे हैं, और जब सरवर चिश्ती की गिरफ्तारी हुई थी उसके बाद जिस तरह का एटीट्यूड राजस्थान पुलिस का उसके पक्ष में था, मुझे लगता है कि सरकार को इन सबसे बाहर निकलकर ऐसे शरारती तत्वों के खिलाफ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए, ताकि राजस्थान का माहौल खराब होने से बचे और खासतौर पर हिंदू धर्म को टारगेट करने वाले लोगों को सबक सिखाया जा सके।
किस प्रकार से जो मुख्य अभियुक्त हैं उनके किनके साथ संबंध है, बीजेपी के साथ किस रूप में, किस लेवल के संबंध रहे, सबको मालूम है। अभी हाल ही में खबर आई कि जब वो जिस मकान में रहते थे किराया, और वहाँ जो मकान मालिक भी मुस्लिम था, उसने शिकायत की पुलिस को कि मुझे तंग करते हैं या पता नहीं किनको, कौन कौन लोग घर पे आते हैं, धमकाते हैं और किराया नहीं दे रहे हैं। तो पुलिस कार्रवाई करेगी, उससे पहले ही बीजेपी नेताओं के फ़ोन चले गए थाने के अंदर कि भाई ये हमारा कार्यकर्ता है, इसको तंग मत करो। वो किनके गोद में बैठा हुआ था, किनके साथ उनके संबंध थे, वो जग जाहिर हो चुका है। उसका जवाब उन लोगों को देना चाहिए।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us on the debate, Neeraj Jain, Deputy Mayor, Municipal Corporation of Ajmer; Ratan Sharda, author; Majid Hydari, political analyst; Syed Hasanul Haq, advocate. And my first question is to spokesperson of Indian Youth Congress, Sunny Dhiman. Why isn't Sarwar Chishti and Adil Chishti behind bars? Sunny Dhiman.
Yeah, good evening. Welcome to another 295 debate. First of all, we are not BJP. We are the oldest political movement of India. And I assure you that the action will be taken as soon as possible, and you will see. But let me remind you,
I have been waiting.
1st of June, Delhi police has filed FIR.
As soon as possible to is a very wide definition, because let me remind you that it has been months since there was a riot. The accused of which, Matloob Ahmed, is still at large.
I'm wondering.
By the way,
why
Sarwar Chishti made his first hateful comment.
Why there is no debate? Why Nupur Sharma is not?
Gohar Chishti on the 17th of June
still behind bars.
Made a hateful comment, and he is missing.
On 1st of June, she was.
How long?
She was.
How long, Sunny Dhiman? What? And leave alone action. Sarwar Chishti is not even booked. How will you arrest him? He is not even booked. He was part of a Sadbhavna rally.
Yeah, please. SP City of Ajmer, Vikas Sangwan said that they have acknowledged the video and they will take the actions as soon as possible.
When?
But the matter is
that
Nupur Sharma after
Gohar
more than 1
Chishti
month
has been on the run for almost a month now.
Supreme Court has already scolded that she is
17th of June, he stood there
all this crisis,
and he gave calls to behead.
She is
he
not
is
behind
still
the bar,
on the run.
Amazingly,
भाई आपके नोटिस से क्या हो जाएगा सनी धीमन? Leave alone arrest.
Congress party
Sarwar Chishti hasn't even been booked.
नहीं, वो action will be taken as soon as possible. You
he
will
hasn't
see.
even
Mark
been
my
booked.
words. Action will be taken as
he
soon as
hasn't
possible.
even been
but
booked.
The question is still.
He hasn't even been booked. Are you hearing
still
me?
Survives. Why Nupur Sharma
what
is
action
not
will you
behind
take?
bars?
He hasn't even been booked.
The police will take action. I'm
what
telling
action?
You, categorically.
What action?
Why we are?
What action?
Police will take action.
What
I'm not
action?
into the administration. I'm saying
What
this
action?
This is part of a hate speech, and police will take action according to the rule of law.
You think this is part of a hate speech?
Law, but the matter is
great. So do you think this is a part of a hate speech? Let's start at the basics.
Is not behind bar more than 1 month.
Let's start at the basics, sir. This Purana deviant tactic is very old. Do you at least first acknowledge that what Sarwar Chishti, Adil Chishti have said are part of a hate speech?
Let me tell you. Our chief minister from the state has said that
No, they haven't
there is a
said
direct
it.
role of BJP.
They haven't said it.
ताली दो हाथ से बजती है.
सर, सरवर चिश्ती और गौहर चिश्ती ने जो बोला है, सरवर चिश्ती एंड आदिल चिश्ती, what they have said, is it a hate speech?
सरवर चिश्ती पर एनआईए की जांच हो गई है और राजस्थान सरकार ने ही एनआईए को जांच सौंपी है.
Sarwar Chishti is don't try and mislead people. Here is how you come on TV and you think people are stupid. The NIA is not probing Sarwar Chishti or Adil Chishti. NIA is probing the murder of Kanhaiya Lal. What Sarwar Chishti is doing is threatening people, more specifically Hindus in Ajmer. That is not being probed by the NIA. Sarwar Chishti is not being probed by anyone because he hasn't been booked.
NIA is already into the. I'm really sorry. You are not updated. You are not updated.
You are not updated.
You are not updated.
You are not updated. Okay. You think I'll tell you who's the most updated? Neeraj Jain is the deputy mayor at the municipal corporation. Neeraj Jain यहाँ पर बैठ करके सनी धीमान जो यूथ कांग्रेस से हैं कह रहे हैं ऑलरेडी मुकदमा हो रहा है सरवर चिश्ती पे, आदिल चिश्ती पे भी हो जाएगा. क्या ये सच है? क्या सरवर चिश्ती पर मुकदमा किया गया है?
मुझे लगता है कि सनी को शायद ध्यान में नहीं है कि उनकी सरकार ने 26 जून को जो हेट स्पीच करी सरवर चिश्ती ने, उस पर आज तक कोई मुकदमा दर्ज नहीं किया है, कोई कंप्लेन लॉन्च नहीं की है. और आदिल चिश्ती का ये वीडियो जो आज वायरल हुआ है उस पर कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया है. सरवर चिश्ती केवल मात्र 26 जून ही नहीं, उससे पहले भी हेट स्पीच करता रहा, हिंदुस्तान को हिलाने की धमकी देता रहा, पीएफआई के कनेक्टिविटी और एक्टिविटी में पार्टिसिपेट करता रहा. उसके बाद उसने दुकानदारों का इकोनॉमिकल बहिष्कार करने की, इकोनॉमिकल बॉयकॉट करने की धमकी दी, उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं की. उसके बाद उसने फिर धमकी दी, तब कोई कार्रवाई नहीं की. और अभी भी सरवर चिश्ती पर कोई भी कार्रवाई नहीं की है. केवल मात्र आज 151 सीआरपीसी की सेक्शन 151 में उनको 107/116 में पाबंद किया है, बाउंड किया है, उनको अरेस्ट नहीं किया और थाने पुलिस को ये डायरेक्शन दिया है इन पर कोई मुकदमा दर्ज नहीं किया जाए. ये मीडिया का आज का अपडेट है जो सनी को ध्यान में नहीं है.
सरकार पूरा सहयोग कर रही है. एनआईए जांच कर रही है, राजस्थान सरकार पूरा सहयोग कर रही है,
क्योंकि अंजुमन कमेटी
का सवाल अभी भी उठता है.
अंजुमन कमेटी का सेक्रेटरी भी है.
कोई भी व्यक्ति जिन्होंने कानून तोड़ा है,
हेट स्पीच
उनको.
एक सेकंड, आर वी सेइंग जस्ट अ सेकंड, एक बहुत जरूरी चीज सनी धीमन इज सेइंग, अगर सरवर चिश्ती ने कोई कानून तोड़ा है, पहले सरवर चिश्ती पे तो हम बाद में आएंगे, लेट मी सेट द टाइमलाइन स्ट्रेट. जस्ट अ सेकंड सनी धीमन, फ्रॉम उन पर कार्रवाई हो गई है टू नाउ अगर उन्होंने कोई कानून तोड़ा है, लेट मी गिव यू अ टाइमलाइन सो दैट पीपल आर नॉट कंफ्यूज्ड. हियर इज व्हाट हैज हैपेंड ओवर द लास्ट 1 month. June 17, Gauhar Chishti, who is the nephew of Sarwar Chishti, stands on the steps of Ajmer Dargah. He says, "Sir, tan se juda." Where is he? He is escaped. 1 month, police can't find him. Escaped. Then, on the 26th of June, Sarwar Chishti gave a speech where he threatened Hindu shopkeepers who had closed their shops in favor of Nupur Sharma. Where is he? Not booked. Then, on the 23rd of June, Adil Chishti decided that he needed to give Hindus some gyan on their gods and say कि भाई आपके तो इतने 333 करोड़ देवता हैं etc. I don't know why he needs to give his gyan on all of this, but anyway, he does it on the 23rd of June. Where is he? Free. He has not been booked. And to top it all, and this is where I want to bring in Ratan Sharda, to top it all, 23rd of June, Adil Chishti insults. 26th of June, Sarwar Chishti threatens, and on the 12th of July, Sarwar Chishti is in a Sadbhavna rally, giving us gyan on Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb.
गंगा जमुनी तहजीब, रतन शारदा.
Let us first put things in perspective. People keep on shouting about Nupur Sharma. Nupur Sharma spoke in a debate in a hate of the women when she was instigated. On the other side, she faced the constitutional process of law. She is not being arrested probably because she is under threat of death from Sir Tan Se Juda. But what happened there after that? These people simply don't want constitution. They want Sir Tan Se Juda. And everybody who has supported this Sir Tan Se Juda or boycott of shopkeepers or whatever these chichis or have been all blabbering, it is all against the constitution. But here are people are trying to defend them. Imagine a Hindu speaking in Pakistan in the same language. What happens? Or in any Islamic country. And also if you look at the way they have been propagating these ideas one after another, this fellow comes on YouTube, very deliberately quotes unknowingly without having a single iota of understanding of what Hindu Dharma is. And he keeps saying, during debates people said, who was Nupur Sharma to quote Hadith?
Yeah.
That was the objection in one of the debates. So these people are totally lost their mind. I am happy in fact that Ajmer Dargah has been exposed totally as an anti-Hindu platform where people are free to insult Hindus, hate Hindus. You have today's US report, right? Hindu Media. And what are our secular friends saying? Oh, but this is due to RSS BJP. So Hindu Media, Hindu phobia, there for years, global terrorism there for years. You bring in something there to cover fire for them. So my biggest problem with these people is they will speak piously. They will not really stand up firmly saying this is not simply accepted, but they will give cover fire, giving excuse.
No, I'm far from acting. I'm sorry, I'm going to take it a step further, and which is why I'll keep coming back to you, Sunny Dhiman. This is endorsement. A month after he is threatening, his son is mocking and insulting. He is made part of a Sadbhavna rally, which is organized by the police. This is an endorsement of what he is saying, Sunny Dhiman.
Police calls him, see, this is the fun. Police invites him.
Exactly.
Police
invites him and he gets to talk about Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb and communal harmony.
No.
He is charged, but he is invited for a Sadbhavna rally.
जिसने जहर उगला है उसके पीछे राजस्थान पुलिस पिछले 4 दिनों से लगी हुई है एनआईए के साथ. पहले तो आपको अपडेट करते हैं.
अरे किसने जहर उगला सर, आपको कुछ पता नहीं है, किसी केस का कोई आपको डिफरेंस पता नहीं है. आप किस केस की बात कर रहे हैं पहले ये बताइए.
हम भाजपा नहीं है, हम आतंकवादियों को पालते नहीं है.
अरे आप
कन्हैया लाल का हत्यारा भाजपा था कि नहीं था?
आप फैक्ट्स पे आइए. किसके पीछे लगी है पुलिस, ये तो बता दीजिए.
फैक्ट पे आ रहे हैं. 4 दिन पहले देखिए ये
आप उसको
गौहर चिश्ती देखिए 3-4 चिश्ती हैं, लेकिन गौहर चिश्ती जिसने जहर उगला था उसके पीछे राजस्थान पुलिस और एनआईए 4 दिन से लगी हुई है.
अरे गौहर चिश्ती को बोले हुए महीना हो गया बॉस. 17 जून को गौहर चिश्ती ने बोला था अगर 4 दिन से वो पीछे लगी है तो ये इन इटसेल्फ इज अ वेरी वरीसम थिंग. अकॉर्डिंग टू यू अगर वो 4 दिन पहले ही पीछे लगे हैं तो अब तो गौहर चिश्ती हो चुके होंगे कहीं और रवाना.
गौहर
अरे मोबाइल नीचे करिए.
नहीं देखिए गौहर चिश्ती के पीछे कांग्रेस के बड़े बड़े वकील सुप्रीम कोर्ट में नहीं जा रहे हैं, जैसे नुपुर शर्मा के लिए जा रहे हैं. गौहर चिश्ती के लिए कांग्रेस के वकील नहीं जा रहे हैं, नुपुर शर्मा के लिए जा रहे हैं ना भाजपा के वकील जा रहे हैं ना. और 1.5 महीना हो चुका है नुपुर शर्मा के ऊपर एफआईआर नहीं हुई.
करना चाहते हैं ना
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने
इसकी बारे में किया वो करना चाहते हैं.
बार बोला कि
किशन भड़वार करके वो करना चाहते हैं.
नहीं सर.
Sunny Dhiman, you know that is the sad part. One, either you are completely unaware of facts, or B, you think that others are unaware of facts, so they will get by or you will get by through this complete obfuscation and running around in circles. Let me again make it very clear to you what you perhaps do not know, and let me again bring in नीरज जैन. नीरज जैन अजमेर में रहते हैं, वहां के डेप्यूटी मेयर हैं. आपको कुछ पता नहीं है सनी धीमन. आप जिस आदमी की बात कर रहे हैं ना, उन्होंने 17 जून को नारा दिया था. आप कह रहे हैं कि राजस्थान पुलिस 4 दिन पहले उनके पीछे लगी है, यानी कि फुल 20 दिनों के बाद. जिस आदमी ने अभी जहर उगला है,
आदिल चिश्ती, जिनका वीडियो हम दिखा रहे हैं, जो वहां बैठ करके 333 करोड़ हिंदू देवताओं की बात कर रहे हैं, जो कह रहे हैं कि भाई हनुमान को आप भगवान कैसे मान सकते हैं, उनके खिलाफ नीरज जैन क्या अभी तक कोई मुकदमा भी हुआ है? 10 दिन बीत चुके हैं और नहीं हुआ है, तो क्यों नहीं हुआ है? क्यों नहीं हुआ है आदिल चिश्ती के खिलाफ मुकदमा? नीरज जैन।
पद्मजा, मुझे लगता है सनी की नॉलेज भी उतनी है जितनी राहुल गांधी की इस देश के बारे में है, और उसी नॉलेज के अपडेशन के साथ वो बात कर रहे हैं। वो अवेयर नहीं है। गौहर चिश्ती, सरवर चिश्ती एंड आदिल चिश्ती तीनों रिलेटिव है। एक बाप है, एक चाचा है, एक बेटा है, एक भतीजा है, एक ही फैमिली के मेंबर है। 17 जून को गौहर चिश्ती सर तन से जुदा का नारा देता है। 17 जून को रियाज और गौस मोहम्मद वीडियो बनाते हैं सर तन से जुदा का वीडियो उदयपुर में। 26 जून को यहां पर शांति मार्च होता है सकल हिंदू समाज की ओर से। 28 जून को कन्हैयालाल की हत्या कर दी जाती है, वो वीडियो अपलोड किया जाता है। 26 जून को जिस दिन शांति मार्च होता है, उस दिन धमकी देता है सरवर चिश्ती कि दुकानदारों का आर्थिक बहिष्कार करें। और हिम्मत कैसे होगी जिला प्रशासन की, उनके शब्द हैं, हिम्मत कैसे होगी जिला प्रशासन की इनको रैली करने की अनुमति देने की? सरकार कांग्रेस की है। आप देखिए उनका इंटेंशन देखिए। ही टोल्ड सरकार कांग्रेस की है। जिला प्रशासन ने हिंदुओं को अनुमति कैसे दे दी रैली करने की? अब इनसे पूछिए 17 जून को जब ये रैली कर रहे थे तब भी प्रशासन ने अनुमति दी थी, उस दिन भी दुकानदारों ने बंद किया था। और 26 जून को जिस दिन हिंदू समाज की रैली थी उस दिन भी दुकानदारों ने बंद किया। तो इन्होंने धमकी दी दुकानदारों को कि आर्थिक बहिष्कार किया जाए इनका। जाइनों और अकीदतमंदों से इन्होंने आह्वान किया था।
So answer me this, the fact that the government and the police are not acting, I think has become amply clear. The very intent is under a cloud. Majid Hydari, tell me this, that when that Salman Chishti made a naked threat against Nupur Sharma, we were told that he is a drunkard, he is a criminal, he has cases against him, he is a nobody. Now what about Adil Chishti? Adil Chishti is sitting there and making fun of Hindu sentiments, Hindu gods, Hindu deities. Is he a drug addict? Is he a drunkard? Is he a criminal?
बस कुछ ऐसा ही हाल मेरे देश का हो रहा है। बस कुछ ऐसा ही हाल मेरे देश का हो रहा है कि आत्महत्या की सुशांत सिंह राजपूत ने और भुगतना बिचारी रिया को पड़ा। Being responsible, concerned and obedient citizens of the country, having full faith in Constitution and the Honorable Supreme Court, let me remind you that Honorable Supreme Court has observed that there is only one reason of all what is happening in the country, and that is that woman and her ideology. How do you forget that? So if anything is happening, this communal emotions are being fanned.
Sir, communal emotion नहीं है जो आदिल चिश्ती ने बोला है, that has got nothing to do with anything. He just decided कि वो एक ट्यूटोरियल देंगे हिंदुइज्म पर हिंदुओं को। इसका नुपुर शर्मा से क्या लेना देना है? What legitimizes him sitting there and making fun of other people's beliefs, saying कि भाई आपके इतने सारे भगवान क्यों हैं, आपके 333 करोड़ भगवान क्यों हैं? पहली बात तो उनको कुछ पता नहीं है। He doesn't know कि 333 करोड़ नहीं है, but that's besides the point. Nobody needs his information, nobody needed his gyan, nobody needed a little YouTube video of his. But what is emboldening him? Because he can get away with it. He thinks I will have an opinion on Hanuman, on Shiv, on Ganesh, but nobody else should say anything. Why? Why? And then his father goes and talks about Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb ये तो नहीं सिखाता कि आप किसी को कुछ भी बोल के चले जाएं। आप कैसे बोल देंगे किसी को?
पद्मजा साहिबा, let's realize it's our collective belief that पंच के मुंह से परमेश्वर, that woman is responsible and her ideology is responsible. How can you hold any other person responsible for what all is happening? It's not me saying Honorable Supreme Court has observed. Kindly respect. Kindly don't be disrespectful.
Brother Shada, this is the most facile excuse which is given again and again. How is Adil Chishti talking nonsense an outcome of Nupur Sharma saying whatever she did? How is this on? Even this is on Nupur Sharma. That Adil Chishti talks nonsense is also Nupur Sharma's problem.
Yes, that is our belief.
Majid Hydari has tried to convert himself from a very radical Kashmiri separate Premi to a Zakir Naik 2.0, but his mind comes out openly many times. Now he says, despite Supreme Court observations, Ajmer Sharif Gundas are open to insult Hindus, to misquote Hindus and challenge Hindus because they know there is no Sartan se juda. As simple as that. The day Hindus come out of the street, these people go all over the world, go gaga saying, oh, Hindus are killing Muslims, millions are being killed. So please stop this victim card and stop playing to the gallery. Understand you are trying to create a civil war like situation in India, and you, Majid Hendry, trying to defend them, will be responsible. It happens. This is clearly, this is called to civil war when people like Chishti are not allowed to speak like this. When you try to defend people like
how dare you speak against Honorable Supreme Court? I won't tolerate this. No, please be obedient citizen. Don't talk against Honorable Supreme Court. How dare you? You apologize to the nation. No, I can't tolerate anything against Honorable Supreme Court. I am an obedient citizen. I'll never tolerate.
How I insulted Supreme Court? I said,
no, you said
this person speaks after Supreme Court has said. I am not saying a single word against Supreme Court. Your ears are not okay. Your mind is not okay. You are hate-filled. So you find what I have not spoken. Go ahead, rewind everything. Give me one example where I have insulted Supreme Court. Come here, you are trying to lecture.
Shraddha ji, did you not with your party not support Bajrang Muni?
Chishti has a right
did you not
to
support
everybody
Yati
because
Narasimhan in
court said
Supreme
something
Court?
against Nupur Sharma. So court's comment are used against Nupur Sharma, but they are not used against this person to say court ने कहा भैया मत बोलो, कोर्ट ने कहा ये गलत बात है मत बोलो, भैया चुप कर जाओ, नहीं वो नहीं बोलेंगे आप उसको डिफेंड करेंगे क्योंकि नुपुर शर्मा ने कहा क्योंकि
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा शी सिंगल हैंडेडली रिस्पांसिबल सिंगल
Sir, even if एक second, Majid Hydari, you know this logic that you keep proffering of Nupur Sharma provoking everyone. Let me ask Syed Hasanul Haq, Mana that Nupur Sharma is provoking everyone. But just like Sarwar Chishti was telling us कि हमारे देश में तो गंगा जमुनी तहजीब है, then in that case, Syed Hasanul Haq, your Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb should tell you that despite being provoked, you should not be speaking like this. Even if you are provoked, you should not be saying कि हम देश हिला के रख देंगे. Even if you are provoked, you should not be saying, अरे देखो, look at these Hindus, what are their gods like? That is Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb, right?
मैम 27-28 मिनट में लगातार सुन रहा था. मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि जैसे लोग बोल रहे थे, अपनी बातों को रख रहे थे, विदाउट इंटरप्शन मुझे भी बोलने दिया जाएगा. इस शेर का मैं अपनी बातों को शुरू करूंगा. लगा कि आग शहर को बादशाह ने कहा, उठा है आज दिल में तमाशे का शौक बहुत, उठाकर सर को सभी शाह परस्त बोलोगे, मजदूर का शौक सलामत रहे शहर और क्योंकि आज देश में आप लगातार लोग बोल रहे थे, विवेक पैनल में लोग बैठे हुए थे, लेकिन किसी ने भी नहीं कहा कि सख्त कानूनी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए उनके खिलाफ, एक कानून बनना चाहिए इन लोगों के खिलाफ जो सस्ती को पाने के लिए देश के नाम को खराब कर रहे हैं. वो हिंदू संगठन से हो, अरे सर आपका पेट भी खराब नहीं है सर, हर चीज में बोले जा रहे हैं आप, विदाउट इन्फॉर्मेशन बात कीजिए आप. अरे चुप रहिए आप, अरे चुप रहिए.
मैंने कहा
थोड़ा सा सबर रखा कीजिए, पानी पीजिए उतने देर. अब सुनिए बात को, पहले सुनने की जरूरत है कि लगातार जो है ये लोग जो देश को खराब करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, इन पे सख्त कार्रवाई, कानूनी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए.
कौन लोग?
अरे सारे लोग हैं. आप
जैसे
आप शरवर चिश्ती की बात कर लीजिए, आप या नुपुर शर्मा की बात कर लीजिए, आप कि बाबाओं की बात कर लीजिए, जो लोग इस तरीके की बात कर रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल. अब मैं आपको बताती हूँ, वेरी नाइस दैट यू आर सेड कि ये दोनों माहौल खराब करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. द डिफरेंस इज सर दैट नुपुर चिश्ती हैज बीन बुक्ड मल्टीपल टाइम्स अक्रॉस मल्टीपल स्टेट्स. सरवर चिश्ती के ऊपर उनके अपने राज्य में एक भी केस नहीं है. दैट इज व्हाट आई एम आस्किंग. Why isn't there even a case against Sarwar Chishti?
की हत्या हुई, कन्हैया लाल जी की हत्या हुई, कन्हैया लाल जी की हत्या हुई, बहुत ही दर्दनाक, और उसकी मैं पुरजोर मजम्मत करता हूँ. लेकिन उसके पीछे जो बीजेपी के लोग, एमआरएम के लोग, मुस्लिम राष्ट्रीय मंच के लोग जो थे, वो आतंकवादी संगठन के लोग, उनके खिलाफ भी जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी होनी चाहिए.
Hasanul Haq, I'm asking you a simple question. If you are agreeing that both of these people are trying to spoil the atmosphere, why haven't both of them been booked? Why hasn't Adil Chishti been booked?
Adil Chishti booked.
होना चाहिए आदिल चिश्ती अगर उन्होंने गलत अगर भाषा का प्रयोग किया।
अरे कब होंगे? 10 दिन बीत गए उनको बोले हुए। It's been over 10 days since he said this. It's not like उन्होंने 2 घंटे पहले बोला।
उन्होंने कहा अगर इस तरीके की भाषा तो 20 दिन पहले उनको क्या वो फौरन उनको अरेस्ट करना चाहिए, उसी टाइम में उनको अभी
पर नहीं हुआ ना, इसलिए तो सवाल पूछा जा रहा है भाई कि 20 दिन बीत गए, उनको अरेस्ट करना दूर, उनके खिलाफ केस भी क्यों नहीं हुआ?
अभी तक नुपुर शर्मा को नहीं उठा पाया, अरेस्ट नहीं कर पाया।
चलिए, नुपुर शर्मा के अरेस्ट ना होने पर सबको पेट में दर्द है, बट nobody has even got the presence of mind even now to ask that why are people who are openly threatening, who are mocking, who are abusing, not even being made to face the law, leave alone arrest, these people are actually still being called clerics and they are still being platformed by the government and police. Imagine someone like a Sarwar Chishti, the father of Adil Chishti, preaching to the country about Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb and communal harmony. What does that tell you about appeasement politics? I'll leave it at that. We will keep up this campaign because just out of sight should not be out of mind and out of jail. Thanks for joining. Everyone has been witness to what is happening in our neighborhood in Sri Lanka. Chaos and anarchy. The country is under an emergency now. As news of President Gotabaya fleeing for Maldives emerged, the protests spiraled out of control on the streets of Colombo. The Prime Minister and now interim President Ranil Wickremesinghe's house is a fief of the protesters who climbed up and hoisted the country's flag. But meanwhile, it's had a ripple effect here in India as well. But the question being asked is, could India face such a situation in the future? And if yes, who will be responsible? Most people right now are saying that any concerns being raised about India facing same economic ruin like Sri Lanka are completely ill-placed. In fact, if there is a real message coming out of Sri Lanka, it is that the dynasty eventually leads to destruction of the country. That the Rajapaksa dynasty, its downfall and its effect on the downfall of the country should hold a message for the dynasties right here in India.
देखिए, कुछ भी हो सकता है, अल्लाह रहम करे। हम तो दुआ करते हैं कि अल्लाह ताला हमें उस मुश्किल से नजात दे जो श्रीलंका में हुई है। अल्लाह करे कि हमारी हुकूमत के लोग जो हैं वो इस सिचुएशन को समझते हुए ऐसे इक़दामात उठाएं कि हम उस तरफ न जाएं।
इंडिया में तो मोदी जी का हालत भी ऐसा ही है। सब कुछ दिन के डे बाय डे ये तेल का दाम, दूसरा चीज़ का दाम बढ़ रहा, इज डूइंग नथिंग। वो जो वहाँ का जो राष्ट्रपति का जो हाल हुआ अभी श्रीलंका में, वो हाल तो मेरा ख्याल से यहाँ मोदी जी का हो जाएगा। मोदी जी का प्रधानमंत्री का वही हाल होगा।
Some point of time situations were like India, Sinha versus Christian Muslim, and this led to unemployment and inflation, and also Sri Lanka landed up in big debt, and that finally led to a chaos situation. So it's a warning for us.
पर ये मैं आपसे कह सकता हूँ दावे के साथ कि हिंदुस्तान ठीक चलेगा, श्रीलंका नहीं बनेगा, हिंदुस्तान कभी भी नहीं बनेगा। दुखद सरकार है हमारी, डेमोक्रेसी चलती है, पार्लियामेंट है, रोज इनका काम होता है, कोई बराबरी नहीं है श्रीलंका के साथ। नहीं तो जो बर्बाद हुआ है वहाँ, उसका तो नतीजा है ही है कि ये 5 भाई थे राजपक्ष खानदान के, जितनी महत्वपूर्ण पोस्ट थी प्रेसिडेंट से लेके फॉरेन मिनिस्टर, फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर, ये 5 भाई कर रहे थे। तो 15 साल हुकूमत की, अब ये हाल है कि लोगों ने कहा कि भाई अब हो गया काफ़ी आपके लिए।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Kuntal Krishna, political analyst, Dr. Shashi Panja, Minister in charge of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare of the Trinamool Congress, National Spokesperson of Samajwadi Party, Anurag Bhadoria. My first question is to Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP. The charge is that if tomorrow India faces a Sri Lanka-like situation, it will be because of your party and not any dynasty. That is what is common. Your economic policies, not the dynasty question. Sanju Verma.
You know, Padmaja, comparing India to Sri Lanka is not comparing apples and oranges, but comparing apples with watermelons. You know, I have written a tweet which went super viral, and I will just tell you in brief. Sri Lanka's total GDP is currently about $80 billion odd, depleting rapidly. India's GDP is more than $3.2 trillion. We are the sixth largest economy in terms of nominal GDP. We are the third largest economy in terms of purchasing power parity. And I think in the next 2 days, we will even surpass the United Kingdom in terms of nominal GDP to become the fifth largest economy in the world. And Sri Lanka's total debt, do you know how much it is? It is $52 billion, which means that more than 63% of Sri Lanka's GDP is eaten away by debt, whereas India's debt to GDP is only 20.63%, less than 21%. And the most important thing, the problem with Sri Lanka is that Sri Lanka tried to borrow its way to growth, whereas in the case of India, we have the fourth largest foreign exchange reserves in the world at just shy of $600 billion.
Okay.
And the other very important thing, you know, which I want to tell people is that be it milk, poultry, fish, tea, coffee, rice, wheat, jute, cotton, pulses, vegetables, in every category, India is either the number one or number two producer in the world. So we have a diversified economy, whereas Sri Lanka relied on only two things.
Okay.
Its economy is largely about exporting rice and exporting tea.
So let me ask you this bluntly. Is there bigger problem, that dynasty issue or the debt issue?
I'll come to that in 20 seconds.
Which is the bigger problem?
Just give me 20 seconds, Padmaja. So I have shown to you that India is the third largest economy in terms of purchasing power parity. We grew at 8.9% last year. And the IMF says India will be the fastest growing economy. Even in 2022-23, we will grow at more than 7% and rest of the world will not even grow by more than 2.3%. This is the IMF saying, not Sanju Verma. Now talking about dynasty, look at what has happened to dynasty in India. We had the Gandhi dynasty. They ruled India for more than 5 decades. Abhi Rahul Gandhi chutti mana rahe hain, and the Congress party has completely lost whatever little political relevance it had. Look at the Yadavs. The Mulayam Singh Yadav dynasty almost, been out of power now for more than 5 years. They lost 2017, they lost 2022. The only dynasty that is still surviving in India, a semblance of it is surviving, is the Karunanidhi dynasty and to some extent the Mamata Banerjee dynasty in Bengal. But the limited point is this, Padmaja. I know you are smiling. The limited point is this. Sri Lanka mein, you had Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the president from 2019 to 2022. Just indulge me for 10 seconds. His brother Mahinda Rajapaksa was the president from 2009 to 2019. Mahinda Rajapaksa was also the prime minister from 2004 to 2009. From 2004 to 2022, 80 years you have the Rajapaksa family ruling Sri Lanka. In India,
but just a second, isn't there where there is a confusion in your own argument? On the one hand, you are saying that their borrowing was the problem, but you have opportunistically also made it about dynasty because you want to, attack the Congress, the TMC, the RJD.
I credit you with more intelligence. A problem is never about a binary. A problem happens in Sri Lanka, in a country like Sri Lanka, because of various reasons. Dynasty, Parivarvad, corruption,
Let me bring in Dr. Shashi Panja on that note, because your party's first family was one of the many dynasties quoted. That other than the economic problems, there is also the issue of a dynasty dragging down the island nation, Dr. Shashi Panja. And West Bengal could face the same.
Good evening, Padmaja ji. Two issues. Now, there were lots of data which were rattled off. So what is the warning? The warning to India is What is wrong in being careful? What is wrong in the opposition expressing its anxiety or because it is concerned about India? Now, there were certain reasons which led to the downfall or this present situation in Sri Lanka. It was things like bankruptcy. It was due to, a mismanagement of economic policies. They have depleted their own resources. There was heavy debt, increased commodity prices. They did not listen to their farmers. They did not appreciate there's an increasing fuel in prices. I mean, absolutely escalated ones. There was food inflation. There was plenty of shortages. There were increase in the vital daily necessities. What we are concerned about is that even this country, as per the data of the RBI, more than 40% or $267 billion worth of external debt of the total $621 billion is due for repayment in the next 9 months. How does the government propose to repay the dues? India is struggling with excessive inflation. It's at the all-time high. We cannot deny this. We cannot deny that all-time high of unemployment in 45 years. There are natural disasters like COVID. Then there are BJP man-made disasters like communal riots, like lynching, enmity, bulldozer. That is there. Then there is retail inflation.
I want to actually say, because we are going off on unrelated data. Two issues I want to flag off more specifically, ma'am.
You cannot indulge somebody and not allow me to speak.
Ma'am, because I want to come back to the point more specifically on two issues and two data points. Here is the thing, that as compared to Sri Lanka, here is what the data looks like for West Bengal. Sri Lanka has a debt of 6 lakh crores, whereas West Bengal's debt right now is about 5.6 lakh crores. So if there is anyone which is close to Sri Lanka in terms of debt, it is the state of West Bengal, point number one. And point number two, the issue of dynasty which is being spoken of. Can you address the issue of dynasty? Is that the problem that Sri Lanka faced and West Bengal also faces?
I have not finished the points. The Indian rupee is at the all-time low. Please keep quiet, Sanjuji. Maintain civility in the debate.
Okay.
I did not speak.
Ladies, just a second, please. Ma'am, that data is literally on our screen. That data is on our screen. But I want to again come back to the topic of the debate, which is the issue of dynasty. Please, can we speak one at a time? Dr. Shashi Panja, would you like to address the issue of what is being spoken of as the dynasty problem which dragged down Sri Lanka? Dr. Panja.
Okay, now the dynasty that you were attacking us on, the biggest dynasty we can see is of the Sangh Parivar. We can see of the Sangh Parivar. Can you deny that? Okay, dynasty policies. You have Anurag Thakur, whose father was Prem Dhumalji. Who was he? Something in BJP. We have Kailash Vijayvargiya's son in BJP. Akash Vijayvargiya. Arun Jaitleyji's son is there. Dynasty politics. Basavaraj Bommai, Karnataka CM, he's the father of S.R. Bommai. Piyush Goyal's son is in this. Dharmendra Pradhan is son of Devendra Pradhan, BJP.
Okay, so we have had this list repeated again and again. Respond then. If dynasty is a problem, you are the biggest dynasty, Sanju Verma. Okay, go on.
If the dynasty...
Padmaja, you will have to now give me time to rebut. This is an important topic. I don't want to be heckled by somebody who knows nothing about economics.
No, please. Again, no personal comments, please.
Okay.
Respond to what she said.
Let me make my point very clear to you. You know, the TMC panelists spoke about Anurag Thakur, and I'm so glad she said that. Anurag Thakur became Member of Parliament for the first time in 2008. And it was only in 2019 that he became a minister in the Modi government when his father, Prem Kumar Dhumal, was almost virtually into retirement. Now, Pankaj Singh, who's an MLA in Noida, he's the son of Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. Is his government in Uttar Pradesh? No. Now look at the example of Dushyant Singh, the son of Vasundhara Raje. Vasundhara Raje has been the Chief Minister of Rajasthan twice. She was a minister in the Atal Bihari Vajpayee cabinet. Is Dushyant Singh's government? No. Have you
What
heard
are you trying
of
to
Abhishek
explain?
Singh, the son of
Oh,
former
what are you trying to
What are you trying to explain, says Dr. Panja? What are you trying to explain?
What are you trying to explain? You are the one who attacked the dynastic families.
So the point
You are the
is,
one who attacked the dynastic families. What are you trying to explain?
Miss Panja.
What are you explaining? What are you explaining?
The son of Padmaja Joshi in government, no.
Explaining that
Is
Indian
Dushyant
economy
Singh, the son of
mismanagement
Vasundhara Raje
for you
in
is not
government,
important.
no.
The
Is
mismanagement of
Abhishek, the son
economy,
Raman
Indian
Singh in
economy,
government, no.
Indian rupee,
Whereas in your
and the
case,
gas
your
prices of
Abhishek Banerjee and
cylinder
Mamata
prices
Banerjee,
does not affect
between
you.
them
It does not affect you.
ruling Bengal.
But technically, Abhishek Banerjee is also not a part of the government. Mamata Banerjee is chief minister, but Abhishek Banerjee is not in government. That is as far as the technical argument. Okay, let me bring in Anurag Bhadoria also, please. Let me bring in Kuntal Krishna. Is this a message for dynasties in India? And of course, everyone's referring to the Congress dynasty. Kuntal Krishna. Mr. Krishna.
Neighbor mate, and we should not be discussing. Hello?
Yes, go on, please.
Hello? Padmaja, am I audible?
Very audible, sir. Go on.
Padmaja, we must learn from the mistakes which our neighbor made, and we should immediately stop discussing fake issues and propaganda. Now let me tell you, collapse of Sri Lanka has nothing to do with these issues which we are discussing. Collapse of Sri Lanka is there because of mismanagement by the then government, because of misrule of the government, because of bad economic policies, because of politics of polarization, politics of hate. So we must learn from what Sri Lanka faced, and before it's too late, we should stop discussing fake issues and propaganda.
But sir, how do you decide that an issue is fake or not? If you have a member of a family that has populated all the powerful ministries, you take decisions that are going to be detrimental to your country, but nobody speaks up, because the minister who will have to speak up is also your brother. Isn't that the problem? Yes, there were bad policy decisions that were taken, but nobody spoke against those policy decisions because your own family was there in all the powerful positions. I'm going to have to end on that note, unfortunately, because we're out of time. Thank you very much, both ladies, and Kuntal Krishna for joining us. I fear that we'll have to speak about this much more in the days to come as well, because serious issues at play in Sri Lanka, which India will look at with concern. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
இந்த 2 நிமிஷம் ஆராசா வந்து கேட்கிறாரு, நாங்கள் தனி நாடு கேட்கணும். அது தனியாக தான் நீங்க கேட்கிறாரு. ஆராசாக்கு உள்ள ஆசை 9ஆம் நாயகன் மட்டும் இல்லாமதான் போயிடும். நான் கேட்பேன், தமிழ்நாட்டை 2ஆ பிடிங்கன்றவன்.
You're watching the News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10. We'll be right back after the break.
For decision makers, for the opinionated, for the unsure, for dinner time debaters, from metro stations to living rooms.
We present the facts and help India make a judgment. From stories that shake the nation to opinions that shape them. I delve deep into the biggest news of the day and uncover every fact, every source, and every statement through debate and discussion. Get a 360-degree perspective on every story and get a conclusive closure. Join me, Navika Kumar, on the Newshour at 9, only on Times Now.
सबका साथ, सबका विकास और अब सबका विश्वास, ये हमारा मंत्र है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी